Welcome, guys. Welcome. I'm here with Robert Carver, who is the one of the scenario designers working on Strategic Command. Welcome, Robert. So yeah, Robert and I are going to be sort of going through and just having a look at particularly Strategic Command, World War II War in the Pacific, and in particular the Solomons campaign around Guadalcanal and those sorts of things. So that's sort of where we'll start. There's a few announcements before we actually do get going. There will be giveaways at the end of this, so keep your eyes peeled. We'll do a marble run. I know that many of you guys are sort of used to the marble run that I do on YouTube on this particular day every week. So we'll end that way as well with some giveaways of the game. There is also a special that's supposed to start right now, like as in this very minute. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for Steam to be updated. But Robert, if you're okay, we might just sort of move across to have a quick look at Steam on this screen, and then we'll go into the actual game itself.
Sounds great.
Flick across.
By the way, good morning to everybody.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoy.
So we're all over the world today. We're Robert's from the US. I'm here in Australia. So the time zone sort of happened to coincide very, very nicely for us at this point in time, which is great. Also, please ask questions. Robert will actually be monitoring the chat as well, so as I will. Although, as you guys know, I don't monitor it all that well. I'll just refresh this screen. I'll just go to F5. Is that going to refresh? There we are. Just see if it's actually, there is actually a special that will be starting pretty much right now. Do you know if it lasts a week, Robert? Do you know the details of the special, or is that more of a Slytherin question?
I think it is right now. I just saw the advertisement or the announcement early this morning, but I'll need to look into that and get those answers for you.
Oh, that's okay. We'll just sort of see if it's actually in there now. Oh, there we go, 25% off. That's there we go. So we've got the and the whole bundle. Actually, that's pretty cool. That's very
That's
cool.
the bundled with the old one there. That's nice.
Yeah,
That by Strategic Command. That's some of the old ones. That's a SC2.
yeah. That's actually
Strategic Command. Yeah.
that's a big discount. And yeah, you've got the World War II bundle there as well, 55% off. That's
Yeah.
that
Nice.
doesn't include Pacific, does it? Pacific sort of like the latest and greatest type one. So yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm guessing just looking at actually what the special is. I didn't know what the special was going to be. I just knew it was going to be sort of starting right away. Hi, Robert and Mixter. I hope you guys are doing well. So anyway, we've got the so there is actually for, I think it's only for a week. Actually, maybe it's this. Yeah, let's have a quick read of this one. This week marks the anniversary of historic battles in Guadalcanal, a series of engagements. Yeah, there we go. In through there. So the actual World War II War in the Pacific is 25% off, as we can sort of see there. And there's us.
Nice.
Our live stream is then sort of mentioned there as well. So that's where we are. So that's all fantastic. Hi, Heart of Mithril. Yeah. So anyway, that's so we do actually have for 1 week only this particular special. So make sure you grab that right now. And yeah, I'll just close that one down. What we might have a quick look at is the well, I guess we should have a quick look at the actual rest of the bundles that are coming with this one as well, because there's a fair few in the franchise, isn't there? Really, when you actually go across the various. I wonder if is Civil War mentioned in this group. I'm not sure if it is. I'll just have a look at the bundle.
That's very,
I
that's a
wonder,
good observation.
yeah, I didn't sort of notice it there, but it should still be in there. Or in Europe. Yeah, actually, this is the World War II bundle. I thought it would have actually come up with the other bundles. So I'll just have a quick look back there. Just press F11, move back. Because that was the second, that was released just before War in the Pacific, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, as a matter of fact. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny. We actually started Pacific before American Civil
Oh,
War,
really?
and then we inserted in. Yeah, so the gamer you're going to be streaming today, I actually started in 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a long time.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
it
have,
was.
I'll just see if it comes up and just see if it's on special as well. I was told that everything. Yeah, there we go. American Civil War. Is that on special? Let's have a quick look at it. Yeah, 60% off. Wow. Okay, that's a good.
Oh my gosh, everything, right?
Yes, that's a great deal as well. So, so
Yeah,
they're all in there.
that game. Yeah, that game came with a lot of add-ons, a lot of content that came in, DLCs that came in. I think one was free, and I think there were two others that came in for that were paid. I could be wrong. Maybe it was one, but there are a lot of scenarios with ACW.
Yeah, yeah. And so you, because you were heavily involved in this one as well, weren't you? Like,
No, I wasn't. I wasn't involved in that one.
oh, I thought you were. Sorry, I thought that
No,
you'd
no, I
mentioned.
wasn't. I wasn't. I wish I had been at the time. I didn't quite have the amount of space in my schedule to be working on it.
Okay.
But
Well, well,
the
let's go
guys
back.
that were working on it
We'll open up
did a
the
great job.
War in the Pacific again. I'll just press F11, just so it's on the screen there. I'll try to get. Yeah, I'll just keep it on that screen there. So yeah, so I guess we should sort of start off maybe with like your involvement with War in the Pacific. So you've pretty much have you been involved in other titles with Strategic Command, or is this the first one that you've been involved in?
For the first one, well, no, no, I there are a couple others that were added as DLCs to the War in Europe and the World at War, the global map. Those two, I think there was a total of three. But I first started with Strategic Command 2. I probably have over a dozen titles that were mini campaigns, as we call them, that were added to various ones. The first one I ever did was back in the early 2000s. It was 1948, the Berlin Crisis. It was the second iteration of Strategic Command 2 that came out, where it was a bunch of what ifs or alternate history scenarios that were really fun. So I modeled a what would have happened if war broke out between the American or the Allies and the Soviets because of the Berlin crisis in 1948,
Oh,
and that
okay.
turned out to be pretty popular. And that was fun. That's where the developer contacted me out of the blue, said, "Hey, I want to include this because I put it online just as a mod, and I was really happy to get that sort of feedback and became part of the Strategic Command
That's
team."
actually one thing. One of the questions I was going to ask you actually was whether you did start off with modding and just through because I know that a lot of people who end up in game design do sort of start off that way, like with building a mod, a passion project, and then sort of move into it. Has that sort of been your start with this particular one? Is that sort of where you did start off with modding as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. Modding was the first one. I'd actually done some modding before for other titles.
Actually, I was going to ask that
Originally
as
Age
well.
of Rifles.
I was going to ask what was your first game that you started to actually build scenarios in, and I should actually
Well,
put a
let's
I should
game. Game is different than computer game. I was a big board gamer. When I was 12 years old, I was introduced to Panzer Blitz, which was a board game, little pieces of cardboard. And I just, it was like one of those moments in your life where you realize, oh, this is for me. This is something that I'm really gonna. I've enjoyed wargaming as a hobby, both on board games and computer games, since I was 12 years old. But I started modding board games right away. SPI put out I think it was the late 1970s, put out a game called Strategy One. It was sort of the game designer's game. It allowed you to create your own, but also had other scenarios that were in there. And when computer games started coming out, I was still linked to the board games. And I remember a friend asking me, "Well, hey Robert, why aren't you playing these computer games more? I know you love war games." I said, "Well, I can't mod them." But as the developers started to get more sophisticated, software advancing, technology moving forward, editors were included in these. I think the first one I ever did was Age of Rifles. I
oh,
don't know if you've
here
seen
we
that
go.
yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen that Mel Gibson movie where he's a colonial soldier in the south of the United States, the southern states, and he fights a series of battles against the British. And that's what I first did. I did a series of battles on the American Revolutionary War in the South,
That was
based
a great
upon
game, wasn't it?
that. My
Age of
motivation with that
Rifles.
movie.
Age of Rifles was such a good one. I was doing mods in Age of Rifles as well way back in the day. But it's what's interesting about it is as there's been no game since then that really captures that era, and I sort of wish there was. Like it's for me, it's like a part that's missing. Unless you
Well,
come across
you
one.
know, just as American Civil War here, Strategic Command, a lot of those scenarios are in the same time frame that Age of Rifle was, albeit the American Civil War ones are larger in scale, more strategic, where of course Age of Rifles was more tactical.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's sort of funny. I loved that game back in the day, and then I've tried playing it a couple of times since then. I mean, last time was probably 20 years ago, and it just didn't cut it after. Like it was just too old. But I do think back fondly to when I was actually playing that one. And so you got involved, I guess. So wargaming was where you sort of started, so designing scenarios with wargaming. Your interest in history, is that sort of where that, like, did your interest in history come from the wargaming, or did that come actually beforehand? Is there sort of like a connection, like that? How do you link those up?
Yeah, yeah. History was a big thing. So I was born in 1962.
So was I,
Less
actually.
than 20 years after the yeah, less than 20 years after the end of World War II. And I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I grew up a lot around a lot of World War II veterans. It was just like it was the air. It was part of, people talked about the war. And it just really grabbed me. My first book I ever got was from my father. It was about the American Civil War, and I was hooked. I don't know. I must have
Yeah.
been 5 or 6 years old, and I was hooked. I wanted to read more, and I still to this day I buy and read books, real books,
Yeah.
not
Okay. Yeah.
electronic books. But
Yeah.
I love that part of it. In fact, the gaming and the history is a nice mesh for me because I really enjoy the research that it takes to help with developing a game, and I really enjoy that as it sort of rounds out all the things I enjoy.
And so, have you had specific interests? Like, in this case, going to be looking at war in the Pacific. But have you got a broad historical interest, or is it sort of honed into specific areas?
No, actually, the war in the Pacific, looking at the whole war in the Pacific, including East Asia, has always been something of an interest to me. Um, when I was younger, I joined the Marine Corps, and the history that the Marines had and the part they played in the Central and South Pacific was. I served in some of the units that I was reading history about,
Wow.
which was very, very interesting. Yeah, yeah. And then I started getting into the Second Sino-Japanese War. Actually, Bill Runts, one of the other designers, he wanted somebody for Strategic Command 2 to come up with some scenarios for the war in China, and I'd never done that. But once I started researching where the material was available, started reading it about that war that started in 1937, it started really piquing my interest. I was able to actually go online, translate through Google Translate some of the Chinese sources, and really get into it really deeply and start to really. It's taken me a long time to really understand that war um, for many reasons, but it's so that whole interest that I've had has been generated through my life experiences and working with the Strategic Command team.
Wow, that's great. I mean, it's again. I think when you become passionate about an aspect of something, everything sort of starts to sort of fall into place. I guess when you're sort of putting together a game like, or even just a scenario. For example, like we're going to be looking at the Guadalcanal scenario in a minute, but I guess having all of that knowledge and all those different bits coming in, it would actually just be fun to be doing the research to sort of figure out exactly what happened, where, when, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I could imagine that would be quite rewarding. You must be one of the luckiest guys alive, I reckon. You have to do all that.
Yeah, I do. I feel lucky. I'm able to work in a area that I have a lot of passion for.
Yeah, that's fantastic. No, that's absolutely awesome. I guess what we should do is probably sort of show the game. I don't know whether to show. In one sense, it'd be good to segue into the editor, and maybe just have a quick look at the actual editor itself before we look at the game, if that's okay. So we might just do it that way.
Yes.
Hi, Private Joe and Supreme Plague and Chaplain for Bacchus. They're saying howdy to Daz, Robert, and chat. So guys, if you've got any questions for Robert, please sing out. We're both monitoring the chat, or we sort of are, and but we'll try to get to any questions that actually are asked. So please sing out there. Again, just to very quickly sort of just reiterate that for this week, you do actually have specials right across the whole Strategic Command franchise. So grab them while they're hot, and there's some good ones actually. We just had a look. We just saw that even though it doesn't show up in the Pacific one, but there is actually the Strategic Command, like the Civil War, which is one of the more recent ones as well, 60% off. War in the Pacific is 25% off, and at the end of this live stream, we're going to be doing some giveaways as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll just go and open up the game. Just bear with me. I'll just press escape. Doing on F11. And we'll just go across. I'll put out of the game and we'll just open up the editor. And maybe you can sort of step us through. Like, is the editor what you use to actually build the actual scenarios, or do you actually have a different tool?
Yeah, well, I would say the editor's the main tool. There's a second tool that's used for map making. It's also, by the way, it's also included in the game. I forget what folder it's under, but it's a map making tool. It allows you to take, well, first you have to modify a file of a map, and then you can put it through this map maker. And then you've got the basic outline of the coasts, what is land and what is water. And then you build layers on top of that. That's what you're going to go into. But
Okay.
I do use those two tools.
That'd be. Do you mind me having a quick look for it? I'll see if I can find it because.
You want me to get? Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. I'll tell you what the name is.
I'll open this one up because we've got the editor there, and then if I just go, I'll open up the Steam library. So sorry guys, we didn't plan any of this. We're freewheeling this one. Just go to my Steam library, Steam apps, common, then strategic command. It'd be handy, like if any of you guys are into building your own scenarios, then at least we can just do a bit of an overview as to how that one actually then does work. So this is the areas extras. Would it be in there? Map scanner. That would be the one, I guess.
Yeah, you got it. I was just going to post the path here.
Yeah,
I'll do that right now.
So we've
put
got
it in the message.
So it's Map Reader, I guess, is the one that we then have a bit of a look at. I might just I'll open that one up. So this is so we're learning from the expert himself. So Robert's just going through what he does when he's going to be building one of these. There we go. Robert's actually put in the actual. So it's going to be War in the Pacific Extras Map Scanner. Just open her up. We'll just have a quick look. I haven't looked at this before, so this will be interesting actually to see how this one does work. We won't spend too much time with this, but we'll get into the actual game itself. But if anyone is interested in doing this, building a scenario, there we go. So select a ping to import. So you've got the different pings, and can you import your own? Like, can you? I guess that you just add a ping into the area that you're interested in.
Yeah, what you do is you grab a map, and then you set the colors correctly, because the map reader reads the bitmaps, and then you upload it, and it should give you what you want. But it's a sort of a trial and error. You have, depending on the size of the map, you're going to have to redo the adjustment of the individual file a couple times. But it's a little process, but it's a way to primarily get the outlines, the coasts. Like, I know when you're building like a global map, it helps to get that coastline along all the continents established before you actually start building the other layers.
Right. Okay. And so I just clicked on the create map index. It said map index saved. So does that mean if I quit back out, has that now placed it somewhere else? Is that sort of how that one works? I'm not sure.
Right. I could. Yeah. If you go deeper into it, it's in the. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right order. You go into Strategic Command 3 Map Reader, which is right under the Map Scanner, and then you go into, I think it's Resources. And if you click on Resources, you'll see all of the different maps. You see those The blue is a special blue color, has, you know, the
Ah,
special
right.
color in there, and then yeah, and all those are available free online. The shapes and colors and so forth.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. Okay. So this is so you start off that way. And we'll just sort of move across, and then you've got the now. If I just close that one down, if I go to the editor, well, should I open up the like the Solomon's campaign as an example, or should we? Yeah.
Sure.
That way, I guess one of the things that there we go. So welcome, guys. We've got the 79 Raiders from Slytherin. Welcome to the chat. If anyone's got any questions. So Sergeant says, wait, this doesn't look like Shadow Empire. Sounds like the Shadow Empire guy. No, this is, of course, Sergeant
Branching
Z-Dog.
out.
Sergeant Z-Dog has just finished playing the Strategic Command World War II Pacific as well back over on the Slytherin channel. So we're sort of just sort of catching up across there. So this is the editor back in through here. I'll just go and open up the a default campaign. You've also then got your user campaign. So if you're going to build your own, I guess you'd sort of just create like a new one. But let's go and open it up. One of the things that I was really quite struck with was the what you could do actually once you actually sort of open this thing up. It looked really quite. It looked simple on the surface, and then the more you scratched underneath it, it was like there was a lot going on. So we'll open this one up. I don't think there's any spoilers that we can sort of see through here, but I was having a look before just to have a look to see how things were sort of done. So it comes in, and we won't go into too much detail. I've sort of already sort of set things up in certain ways, but this is like terrain. You've got all your terrain down the side. I was interested, like I clicked on this one before actually when I was playing with it to have the two columns. That must be very handy. Was that something that you guys, the scenario designers, actually sort of had asked for, like to be able to quickly go across and pick what you needed?
Oh yeah. There's been updates to the editor since the early 2000s. It's been improving. Hubert Cater, who's the developer, has been really open to any of us giving in, and a lot of what you see here is from the community, from the team.
Right. Okay. Yep. Because there's an awful lot. There's what 260 something, I think. So I guess that when you're doing things, you would just flesh out using grass or something like to sort of build a basic sort of shape. But or I guess you were saying that the other ones have already been done for you through the map maker.
Yeah.
And then
So I actually used the map maker for this scenario. So the map maker came in and did most of this work for me.
Right. Okay. So you don't have to do all of this topology type stuff. But then and I guess having the two at least you can then sort of flick and get what you needed if you do need to tweak anything with that, it's a nice sort of simple system in terms of the actual map building, and then of course you then start to structure things on top of it with the topography on top of the actual the base areas. Then you've got the next one is the river layers, etc. There's a river tool, isn't there? You can actually just, if you wanted to, just draw a river.
Yeah, just drag. There you go. Yeah.
Which is again,
that's really nice. That was a feature that was added, I think, for Strategic Command 3. I don't think we had it in Strategic Command 2. But yeah, there's these different layers to the map, and then once you get through all the layers of the map and build cities, then you go to building units and then deploying those units on the map. And then the game engine is really strong, so it does really good work for the artificial intelligence. And then you start scripting the artificial intelligence, telling it what to do in certain cases. So like you said, it's pretty in depth.
Yeah, it is. I was surprised. It's very well structured for an editing tool, to be honest, because quite often you find with wargame editing tools they're very, very rudimentary, and this is really quite nice in comparison to most of the others.
Oh yeah, if you start drilling into some of those tables that you use to build the units and build the countries, they're up on top there. Once you get to that point, you can just see the level of detail. You can set up, what country. You can have different countries have different values on units. Their production can be different. Who they're aligned with is different. So it gets there's a lot of detail to it.
Yeah. So this is actually the starting units that you've sort of got in through here, I guess. So, and then you've got the different ways of actually building with the map. You've got this like select units, I guess, where you can then go in, and I don't know how you edit these. Rename
The
properties.
units.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you can sort of build up your properties, your names, the whole lot. So it's sort of
Yeah.
it's very detailed. But then the thing that I was really quite struck with was when I was I had a look at the campaign. Was you got all these different like weather data. It's the whole lot. There's so much depth. I think it's interesting to see. When I like having a look under the hood pretty early when I look at a game, just so I can get an idea as to the depth of what's actually added to it. But there's an awful lot of stuff in here that the game looks very, very pretty for a war game. Like it does, it looks it looks beautiful in the sense that it's not just basic, but it actually has a lot of layers and as you said before, a lot of layers, a lot of depth. I mean, I guess the franchise has been around for. Must be well over 25 years, the first one.
Yeah, I think it was 2003, I want to say.
2003, okay. So
Strategic Command 1 came out.
20 years, yeah. Because I've got actually CD-ROMs and stuff of it from the first ones.
Yes, I do too.
So we've got all these different things. But the different scripts as well, like you've got the AI scripts. Now, I don't think there's much in that one, but sorry.
You could just click. Yeah, you could just click on one of those scripts you see in that window, and you can open it and see what the language, the code looks like.
Yeah. These don't like with that one. If I just open it or edit one of these, like Transport Miner, is there one that would be a good one for us to look at? Maybe research.
Look at unit. No, look at fleets or ships or what's his? I think fleets.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot in there because this game involves a lot of telling the AI what to do with the navies. So if you go down, you scroll down, you'll start to see the scripts. You'll start to see this actual individual scripts for different situations. I got scripts in there for covering the initial Marine Corps landings on the island, then scripts to support reinforcements, and then on the Japanese side, sorting out of Rabaul and actually coming down the slot and trying to intercept the Americans or land their own troops.
And so,
those are the scripts. There you go.
All of this, all we're seeing at the moment with the hashes and the semicolons, does that all mean that it's just comments? And so you've actually got, like, if anyone was going to build their own, they could actually have a really close look at what you've done here to sort of learn what to do in the actual scripting itself. Would that be correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the great strength of Strategic Command's editor, is that if you don't like the way something plays or you want to try it a different way, you can just modify that editor yourself to do different things. It might be as simple as you want to change the names of the units, or you want to have the ships go somewhere else.
Yeah, yep.
You can tweak it.
So you've got things like, for example, like a comment in through here. So on the 17th of May, is that something that's written in the game, or is it just a note for yourself as an example? I don't know if you can see that. What we should do?
Let me go into it.
I'll just go into
it real quick.
I'll just open up the biggest screen.
Yeah, follow you along. No, I can't see it. Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah, that one you see it has a semi or a colon right next to it on 17 May. That's just a comment out. Just some information I put in there to explain what that script is about. I'll do that every once in a while to kind of remind folks if they're going to use the editor where this came from and what this is supposed to do.
Oh, that's fantastic. You very rarely, again, see this level of commenting with these sorts of things.
Yeah.
It's and again, I guess it comes back to that passion side of things that you were talking about earlier. Now we can see that there's a bracket ending something there that starts
and
there.
The top. Yeah, that's the whole script itself. It's funny, this one's about the HMS Victorious, a British aircraft carrier that was lent to the Americans later on in the campaign because so many American carriers were destroyed or damaged. I think there was only one effective American carrier in the theater, was the USS Enterprise. So the Victorious went out there and helped the Americans.
Oh, okay. So that was an aircraft carrier, was it?
Yeah, It's an aircraft carrier.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I mean,
Famous for their steel decks.
oh, okay. There we go. And so again, you've been able to sort of add in very, very specific, very, very detailed information outside of just using almost like superficial tools. So this is, you can actually really scratch underneath the surface here.
Oh yeah,
There we go. So
yeah. You can put a lot in. It's so flexible. Whatever you come up with as a designer, you can put in here.
actually, True Event Horizon saying Saratoga, the Enterprise was being repaired. So
Okay.
we've
Yes, it was.
yeah, yep. So yeah, okay, and then we've got again, it's all beautifully commented. So I think if anyone was wanting to learn how to actually build a scenario, a fairly detailed scenario, this would actually be a great. It's almost like a learning tool, isn't it? Really, for how to use the engine, how to use the the like everything really in terms of the scripting itself. So there
Yeah.
we've got
Yeah, the scripting itself is a bit of a learning curve,
yep,
but if you've ever done any coding at all or any worked with any languages, programming languages, you know there's always a learning curve. But once you get into it, once your mind is in sync with how to build something and make it resolve on the screen, you're golden.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, just reading a few more of the comments there. Mixture of saying after Santa Cruz Islands, where Wasp was lost, or the Hornet. There we go. And Sure Event Horizon saying Victorious was known as USS Robin while with the USN.
Mm, very good. I did not know that.
Yeah, this is all completely new to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. So no kidding, that says Mister as well. So I did not know that. I got to say, like just like we're doing this interview, but I love our community, like in the sense that they're the amount of knowledge and things that's just within the again people who are passionate about these sorts of the eras and the history and stuff like that. It's just awesome. I absolutely love it. So yeah, getting correct us guys. I think it's good for us to it's great to actually get all this extra knowledge. So it's just fantastic. So yeah, thanks for sort of adding these little snippets in. What we might do actually is like this. Just I think we've sort of gone a little bit now into the editor just to sort of show. And again, you can see how much Robert's put into this with all sorts of events and things. Now this is the AI working in through there. I'll just show one other little thing as well. If I just go and click, I don't think I won't save any of this, of course, but if I go back into the campaign, there's also event scripts as well. I guess that's pretty much the same type of deal. I sort of noticed that there were decisions. There was a lot of event decisions as well, and a lot of these were setting up like the map itself. If I go across into the map, there's certain areas on the map, for example. It's probably going to just zoom away a little bit. I'll just go down a little bit. These here, for example, going to the Solomon Islands and then to Espiritu Santo. Is this this is actually just the decision making from here? Is this how the AI knows what to do and how to move across? So, for example, USA continue to the Solomon Islands. I'm guessing it's that one. And if I then go and open that one up, it's again. Look how much detail there is in here, guys. It's just this is all commenting up the top there.
Yeah, this actually shows the type of script that you selected kind of shows the interplay between the scripts. So this is more of this is the top level script. The decision script can actually help control the other scripts. They're linked, right? So this script will be linked to the loop script, which you see in there also. What that does is that gives the decision script helps provide certain parameters for the loop script to fire. So it's the decision script sets it up. The loop script executes the actual transition of the navies from one place to another.
So the loop script is that deeper down, is it?
You could see it. It's a 1, 2, 3. Is that what it is? 4 above where you are. So on your script
right. Okay.
screen,
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, right above victory.
So this is like
that's that. Mm-hmm.
So this one actually then is sort of like every turn it then loops through and just checks everything. Is that how that one works?
Right. And the scripts are set up to fire just once, fire in a certain condition, or constantly fire. And
Wow.
so these scripts are set up, the specific ones to move the navies are just there waiting until you move a unit on top of one of those red squares. And that's what the decision script does. It detects you moving that unit onto that red square. And then it says, okay, go ahead and fire script loop. And it's linked. And you'll see within the code, you'll see a link number,
Yeah,
and that tells you
DE33. So this one here,
yeah,
as per it is.
33.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll see,
Yeah.
right below set right there. You see there's this link and then parentheses one. That means it's link number 33 and 1. So what happens is it's linked to that decision script that's called
Right.
33 1.
And
1 means yes, 2 means no.
in terms of other people then sort of doing their own, making their own scenario, how, like, can they, do they have to be using the, this sort of scripting, or can they sort of still set up something without the scripting? Like, can they sort of still,
Oh yeah.
so that if
Yeah,
it,
yeah. Yeah, the editor does a great job, particularly with land warfare. It's improving and come a long way with the naval part. But if you were just to set up like a campaign in Russia in World War II or World War I, on the Western Front where you just had land armies, and you're fighting the artificial intelligence, you're building it so you can fight the artillery. You can just set up the terrain, set up the maps, set up the units, and go at it.
oh wow, so if this is scaring people away who aren't into, like, who don't sort of look at scripting, there's still ways around it. I guess from what you're sort of saying, this is mainly so that it can handle all of the naval warfare in this scenario. I mean, this is a very deeply naval scenario, isn't it? The Guadalcanal
Yeah.
campaign.
Yeah. There's a lot of land. There's also there's a lot of fleet scripts, and there's also a lot of other different scripts are used for different things to help units move around. But it's primarily there's heavily scripted on the naval
Yeah.
because of the game engine.
Right, and Unstable Deus is saying, is there a document which describe what each script does and how they interact?
Ah, yeah, yeah, and there's a couple YouTube there in the manual section in the files is all the different manuals. There's one for the editor. Excuse me. It's also for the game and the editor, and then each separate mini campaign has its own manual. And then there's a number of YouTubers that have actually done tutorials
Oh yes, yep.
for the yeah, yeah.
But, so it's beyond that manual there. What I'll do is, you got the guides. Does that take us to the guides section? There we go. Is it so we're back inside? So we're in the manuals area there, but these are we've got the campaign guides.
Yeah.
And
And you
some,
can see there's the different scenarios on top, and then see that third one from the top, strategic command manual. That's the overall arching one. And in there, they'll have a few paragraphs about the editor.
oh, okay. So
It's
is that where, if they were trying to figure out what the different commands were, is that included in
Yeah,
this one? Let's have a quick look at open. Yes, this is one that's
yeah, that's
actually,
the one right there.
yes, we can access that
Yeah.
from in game as well. I'll just make that a little bit larger. So, and the editor, I'm guessing that would be towards the bottom of the list.
Yes, it is.
Oh, there we go. Scenario design guide.
Yeah.
So we've got the, yeah, what do you want to simulate? Okay, this is very cool. So 270 pages to get to this point.
Yeah.
It's,
It's a
I've got to
lot.
say,
It's a lot.
it's very comprehensive, the manual. Like, it really covers everything. It's very, very cool in that regard. There's the event scripting back in through there, artificial intelligence scripting, play testing. Does it have a list of actual commands? I think that was more the question. It describes what each script does and how they interact. Is there like an appendix of what we can then go and do? I don't know if there is. No, it looks like that. I don't know if
No,
there.
I don't think we have something that detailed. Yeah, that we do get questions on that often, and what we end up doing is if somebody does have a question, we on the forums mainly, but we also use a couple other tools. I think we use oh what's the what's the tool we were just talking in?
Oh, Discord.
Discord.
Yeah, so the
That
Discord.
escaped me.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Discord, Matrix has its own forums, and we'll go in and we'll explain something, and but the scripts are set up so once you learn something, you can apply it across all the scripts. Like that linking I was show you, that linking is the same way for all the scripts, no
yeah,
matter
yeah,
where. And then there's scripts. There's a script that was called Unit. That script allows you to bring on units onto the map automatically, which is like one of the easier scripts to get into. So you could actually start with the easier scripts, start to add a few things, add a few pop-ups like explaining the history of the battle, and then go from there to more complex ones where you're linking scripts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's and so there's again the forums, the Matrix forums are fantastic, aren't they? They're just such a great resource in terms of like if people are watching this and sort of getting interested in getting into wargaming, the Slytherin forums and the Matrix forums, I mean, they're both sort of related essentially, but they're fantastic to be able to sort of get into those. Got some more questions in through here. So Rogue is saying hi and then saying, I play a lot of war game board games, but haven't tried digital ones that much. This one looks very comprehensive. It's the interesting thing about Strategic Command. All of the different Strategic Command titles is that they look so approachable when you actually open them up. And you'll see this when we actually start the game. God, we're nearly an hour in, and we haven't started the game yet. But it's like there's a lot. Like it feels very comfortable, whereas a lot of war games don't. Like a lot of war games feel very complex right from the start. But there's a lot going on under the hood, and I'm glad that we sort of diverted out to have a look at that because it does sort of show like this. I guess the depth underneath the game. So even though it looks fairly simple, and it's a game that one of the things as well I find with these Strategic Command games is that the actual time to play them is so much shorter than a traditional war game. So it's it's just so much. It's very user friendly. If you're thinking about getting into war games, then like if you've actually been playing actual war games, like on boards, and we were talking about that earlier. That Robert sort of had sort of got into it that way. Like I guess it's in that sort of sense that this is as a mid-level war game, that's where I'd be positioning Strategic Command. I think it's beyond entry level and sort of, but not in the onerous depths of the war games where you've got to move every single little unit all over the place. This is much more comfortable. Would that be your take on it too, Robert?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. It's what I call a beer and pretzels game. You can have your drink in the evening and relax and just play the game.
Yeah,
A lot of times I use it just to get away from the day and just to go through something because of the the type of game it is and the editor. You have small games that can be played within one sitting, or you have ones that you can play over a number of days. So it's quite flexible in that regard. Um,
but
it
the
is. I
over
don't know if you.
sorry, the
I was going to say if you
overriding thing
pointed.
there is it's not months.
Yeah, no, it's not months. Yeah, yeah. There's also you can play head to head, so you can go use the play by email function, and you can play with other players. That those usually get through one or two turns a day on that, but still you get to
Yeah.
experience something you're not just playing against the AI. You can play against a human.
Yeah, yeah, and it's cool to actually have a hot seat multiplayer as well. So many games don't do that, and I think particularly for war games, it's a great way to do it. Hi, Bill. I can see Bill's actually joined us as well, and Bill's one of the other developers as well.
Hey, Bill.
So, and Bill's actually going to be able to answer some of your questions that you guys have. So he's put a link there for the Discord. So if if you're
Perfect.
interested in the game or I think any of the franchise, then certainly go and have a look at the Discord there. But again, the Matrix forums as well. So it's matrixgames.com/forums. Will take you through to essentially. Then you'll always get questions answered in those forums. Very very good forums. We've got to say, and they've been great forums for. God, must be closing in on 25 years, I guess, as well. With that one, I forget when I first joined the Matrix forum, but it was a long, long, long time ago, and I've always been very happy with it. Okay, so I think we've answered most of the questions. We've got. Yeah, actually, Bill was then saying that the manual from page 251 onwards gives a description of each script type. So, I think that the question was about the commands, the actual individual commands. I mean, at the start of each script, there was a really, really well documented area anyway that was going through what all the commands were that were usable in that script, which I thought was pretty cool as well. Beam Slam saying it's more detailed than a board game mechanic and calculation vice, I think. There we go. So, yeah, that's all really cool. So what we'll do is let's actually start the game up and talk about this as well. So we'll just go through. Now we're going to be looking at the Solomon's campaign. And I guess if people are sort of wanting to have, like there's, like I know that in some of the titles there's been sort of like very, very short campaigns, like sort of around like 12 or 13 turns is the actual campaign itself. In this case, we're looking at, this one is 34 turns for the Solomon's campaign. But again, when we get into it, like the difference between this and, for example, a War in the East type game where you've got like just a mountain of units to sort of then try to sort of wade through, it's very, very user friendly in the sense of its scale and overall approach. So I'll just go and start the campaign up. And I'll just leave everything on the defaults, except I will change the allies. I'm thinking just because there'll be more people that will be watching from that side of the fence, I guess.
Hey, Des, one thing I wanted. Oh,
yep.
Yeah, I was going to point out one thing. You were too fast for me, but you can actually, if you last screen had two under the allies had two flags, one British and one American. One of the other things you can do if you're a new player, you can turn or turn off which ones you like. If you were to click the British one there, I believe that would be one that the AI would control. So you could actually one of the things you could do, like if you're playing the big map, right? The main campaign, all of the Pacific, you could just play the American player if you want, or the Australian player, or the Chinese player, and then let the AI take care of your allies.
I didn't realize you could do that, actually.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I never knew that.
Yeah. It works best on the big campaigns.
Yeah. This one here, the British don't do that much, do they? Like in terms of the history of this one.
No, but in the editor, Australia is a minor country underneath the UK. So that's why that's necessary in there, because UK is mainly as the coast watchers, the land masses, the Solomons are owned by the Australian. So it's just a way to control them. You could promote a minor country in the editor to a major country, and then, for example, you could see the Australian flag next to the British flag in this campaign were we to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So this is more Commonwealth forces at this stage. So that would be sort of the way of looking at that one through there. Roker's saying, who would play as an Australian? Hey, where's the band key? All right, so we'll play as the allies. I'll keep them both on, and because there isn't like I'll show you in the game anyway. The Coast Watchers are essentially the presence there from the Commonwealth, but most of the fighting is then done by the US. I'll leave everything on default in this instance, and we'll just sort of open the game up. And again, you'll see the game that we opened up in the editor. This is the one that we sort of did open up. So we do. I didn't flip all over the map to have a look and see where everything actually was, but so we've got Allied and Japanese reinforcement information. So now this is actually. I'll show you where this is as well in the game, so just so that you guys can find it. I've got to say that these strategy guides are really, really cool. The way that they sort of are established for every single scenario, which is I had a lot of fun reading those actually in previous games, just from a historical document point of view. I found them a little bit like Warhammer guides in the same sort of sense, but of course very, very different game. So we've got the Japanese turn first.
Yeah. Now you can see the Australian cruiser just above the American cruiser there. Here, the Japanese are coming down, have responded to the American initial landings on Guadalcanal, and they're catching the American cruisers off guard. This is called the Battle of Savo Island.
Right, yeah. And so Savo Island is this one here, isn't it? That little island there. No, that's still.
Over to the yeah, that's Tulagi and Tobago. Off to your left, that little dot is off to your
There.
left is Savo Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get into the actual the game itself, like it would be cool just to maybe sort of explain how we get to how we get to the Guadalcanal scenario and why it's important. I think it's sort of the Pacific is such a big theatre and so much went on in it that this is really quite a pivotal area and through there. This one does talk about the US situation and strategy, but I think what we might do is rather than read this, I think it would be cool to maybe talk about the overall progression of the war to this point, and sort of why the
Sure.
decision making was done through here. It sort of is talking very specifically about Henderson Field, which is what the US forces are trying to build up at this point in time. I'll just click to dismiss that one. But and then we have new units. I'll just cancel that, and we'll come back to these in just a minute. But so you can see again the game itself, like again just visually. I always it's refreshing to see a game that's pretty. That's also a war game. I do really quite like that aspect of it. The overall map making is just it just feels really really nice. Very unlike most war games, which is awesome. I guess that's just the overview of what we're sort of seeing in through here. What has happened, just to sort of explain a little bit to players. There's the distances in the Pacific, of course, are just absolutely massive, and so we've got like the US bases back in through here, which are sort of abstracted as if they're sort of like at some distance away, and then the Japanese are back up in through here. What we might do is, so I did actually open up the Google Maps, and we might just talk a little bit about that, if that's okay. Thanks, Robert. If that's just go.
Oh, no problem.
So we'll just open this one up. I'll just do I'll just open this one up fully, so you can sort of see, like, of course, 1941 we have the attack on Hawaii by the Japanese, and again the distances are dramatic. So just as a bit of a summary, it then took the US a little bit of time to to sort of get their forces together. In the meantime, the Japanese then took over all of the these sort of like Asian islands, the sort of the East Asia was like they were sort of doing landings all the way through here.
Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Yeah, so and they were the goal for them, I think, was to secure rubber. Was it? Was that the main strategic goal for them?
Yeah, initially it was Rabaul and also Port Moresby, which is in the southern part of New Guinea Island, just above Australia. That's where the first carrier battle of the world ever took place on the Coral Sea, and it kind of leads into this battle because that little island that we were looking at in the game Tulagi was first occupied by the Japanese, and a seaplane base was constructed there, and that's what really preceded or made the decision, helped make the decision for the American commanders to realize, hey, they've got to do something about this sea base at Tulagi and then a airfield under construction on Guadalcanal. So any sort of offensive operations was really speeded up by the Japanese moves into Rabaul and then down into Tulagi and Guadalcanal.
How long did it take them to get to Rabaul? Like like it was like with them actually taking that over as a base. Like, was it how early in the war was that? Like, if we look at Pearl Harbor, how soon after Pearl Harbor were they sort of over here? And was
I
that
want to say within weeks.
wow?
And I'm looking it up right now.
Because
It says 23 January 1942, which was a little over a month, maybe
wow.
5-6 weeks
And in the meantime, they'd already
after.
landed all through Singapore and like through many of these islands, hadn't they? At that stage.
Yeah. Australians played a big role. The Australians were We're in all of those battles down there in Singapore, in Java, and there's a little island right in the middle of the Indonesian, right next to, right to the right there, right above, go up a little bit. Forget the name of that island. There's a major base right there, a naval base that the Australians defended, and then eventually will overcome. There's also to the right there in New Guinea. There's a number of spots there the Australians fought the Japanese, and of course the one we were talking about the other day, the Kodak Trail, I think
Kokoda,
is
yeah. So you got the Kokoda
yeah,
Trail.
yeah, it was where yeah, they held off the Japanese advance and saved Port Moresby.
Yeah, and that was we were talking about it because it's interesting. The Solomons are very closely connected with Australia. Like we sort of Australia has a big connection with them. But during the same portion of the war, Australia's focus was mainly on the Kokoda Trail across to here, where Boona. I think the Japanese had their landings at Boona. They came up there through this valley, and then they had to cross the Owen Stanley Ranges. So a lot of the Australian focus was in this region, while the Americans were focused on the Guadalcanal campaign. So it was quite interesting during the same period of time. So
Hey, Des, I think this might be a good point to point out Rabaul and how it's the top there. Yeah, right there. So can you zoom out again? Go show New Guinea and Solomons. So that was the main Japanese base. When I was designing this mini campaign, I was thinking of including the whole West Pacific Theater, what you've got on your map right now, to kind of show the Japanese decision making, whether to reinforce attacks into Port Moresby or attacks into Guadalcanal. So, but I didn't for various reasons. But easily this game could have been the whole Southwest Pacific Theater,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it would have any Japanese player playing that game would have had to make some decisions.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I didn't realize Rabaul was like so triangular with both areas. To be honest, it was. I wonder they sort of
Yeah.
set that up as their base. It looks very defensive too. Like with the
Yeah, the
positioning.
Americans eventually landed in 1943. I want to say the end of 43, on the western side of those islands, of New Britain Islands.
Yeah, looks very rugged. With the
Yeah,
bit
they
of
they never actually. Rabaul eventually became one of those garrisons that was bypassed
yeah, yeah. It looks like it'd be
in
very
the war.
difficult, and it looks like a great
Yeah,
spot for a naval base. Like just in terms of the positioning. The positioning is unbelievable. This was in World War One. That was German, I think, wasn't it? This is part of the
oh, that's right. Yeah, there were a
yeah,
number of islands: the Marshall Islands, the Bismarck Islands, archipelago, and there was all Japanese. I think part of it was Japanese, part of it was Australians in World War One. Came in and took over the colonies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I thought just to sort of show where this all happens, and so the Battle of the Coral Sea was down in here, I think, wasn't it? Below the Solomon.
Right.
Yep. And the
Yeah, that was right there.
and Midway
And what they were
was
trying to defend, yeah, what they were trying to do is counter the Japanese moves, because if the Japanese had taken Port Moresby on the left and then Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands there on the right, that would have meant, if you could zoom out a little bit more, you could see how that now starts. You put bombers in those places, you can see how you can now interdict American supplies coming into Australia.
yeah,
So the decision to launch Operation Watchtower, which was the American operation to take over the airfield, Henderson Airfield in Guadalcanal. It was actually, the timetable was moved up by several months. The division, First Marine Division, wasn't as prepared as they needed to be, but they needed to do it post haste.
yeah, yeah. And guess that's because Brisbane was the main port for the Americans, I think, in the lead up to that campaign. Was that correct? Or because they weren't coming, like if you have a look and see just
Yes.
how far away America is, it's a long, long way away to get across to LA.
Yeah. The tyranny of distance.
Yes.
Even today, planners talk about that.
And you've also modelled New Zealand as well. I didn't realise that New Zealand must have been a staging point as well for different forces going in.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's the first, I think it was Auckland was the first port that the first Marine Division was taken from San Diego to New Zealand and Fuji Islands. Some of the regiments were in either island, but they were staged there. And eventually they did some rehearsals, and I can't remember if they did rehearsals in New Zealand or Fiji Islands, but after they did their rehearsals, they were off on their way to Guadalcanal.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because I know that again from the Australian side of things, they talk about the American invasion around Brisbane. It's
You ever hear about was it the Battle of Melbourne, was it?
I think it's Battle of Brisbane. I think
Brisbane,
yeah,
okay, the Battle of Brisbane, okay.
because
Right.
it was the Americans were stationed basically in the in Brisbane, and I think it's the Battle of Brisbane was where where
Yeah, yeah.
the locals rose up against
Yeah,
them.
yeah, it was the first Marine Division was finally relieved on Guadalcanal by the second Marine Division and the Americal Division and the US Army Division. So the division was pretty well spent. So they did their recovery in Brisbane.
Right. Yeah. 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 No, it's funny because there's still like we live close to Brisbane, and it's this they've got actually historical markers of different things that happened during the war with the American forces as well. Like just the like it's quite interesting actually. This like just wandering around and sort of seeing these little snippets of information in Brisbane about that time. It's yeah, quite interesting actually. So it's yeah, actually we're just looking at a few of the comments there. So Chaplain for Bacchus is saying it was more oil that the Japanese were trying to get access to. It's funny because I had read a book by one of the historians early on, and I thought it was rubber was the main resource that they were being stopped. The trade was being stopped. I thought it was rubber, but it could be oil as well. But yeah,
Oh, I think what they're referring, yeah, I think what he's referring to is, he is right. Oil was the main reason. It was the islands to the west of where we are right now in Indonesia and in the British Borneo colonies there. That's where
yep,
the main oil, the Dutch and the British had the oil locked up there. And the Japanese mainly attacked south because of that.
yeah,
They attacked the Americans in the Philippines and the Hawaiian Islands because they wanted to neutralize the American forces in the Pacific so they could go south into Indonesia and take all the oil that they needed.
right, yeah,
Primarily because the Americans, because of the war in China, this is how this all links in. The war in China, uh, President Roosevelt wanted to do what he could to get the war to end in China, and one of the things he did was created an oil embargo on Japan. So Japan was going to run out of oil for its navy if it didn't do something, either acquiesce to Roosevelt or attack, and they chose to attack.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it? The decision making. That when you sort of I've read a fair few books on the Japanese decisions and why they made them, and it's interesting to see the other perspective, from their side of things, which is really quite cool. Okay, Chaplain for Back is saying the poor Abda fleet, I'm not sure what that is, did what it could to, but was overwhelmed by the IGA. Oh, the Dutch, okay, Dutch East Indies. So it must be a Dutch fleet, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dutch East
yeah.
Indies
ABDA
fell.
is American. Yeah, ABDA is a American, British, Dutch, Australian naval command that was created to counter the Japanese thrust into Southeast Asia.
Oh wow, okay. When did the Philippines fall? I'm just thinking like that must have been pretty early on as well. Must have been overwhelming.
Actually, it stretched on into. Let me look it up real quick. But it stretched on into 1942. I think in Corregidor, uh, they held out quite a long time until they actually were
So they were
they
essentially
surrendered to the Japanese.
under siege for a long
May
period of time.
1942.
So what was that?
It looks
Oh,
like
May. Yeah.
it was into May 1942, so it was about 6 months the Philippines held out.
Geez. So it's about when so at about that time, this is actually when this is all starting to happen in through the Solomon Islands then as well.
Yeah, yeah. So So, if I remember correctly, so the Americans surrender in the Philippines. The Battle of Coral Sea goes on, and then June 6th was the Battle of Midway.
Oh, okay, yep. And that was above, wasn't it? That was above the
Yeah,
Papua
yeah.
New
If
Guinea.
you go over to the Hawaiian Islands, and then you go up a little bit, and then you'll start to see it. If you go
Ah, there we go.
off to the
Midway
left
Atoll.
there, yeah.
Yep. Those.
Actually, they actually consider it to be part of the Hawaiian Islands, believe it
Oh
or not.
wow. Okay. It's funny because a
So
lot of the islands in the Pacific have got like extremely long distances between them. Like the Cook Islands have got a
yeah,
massive area that they look after as well. Like there's, yeah, they control a massive area, yeah, with their different islands. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
yes, I
Yeah,
see.
it's really interesting actually just to get a scale of what we're dealing with, I guess, and the timing as well. Thanks very much there for the
Mm-hmm.
subscription there, Unowned. So anyway, let's get back to the game, which is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
But I do like to see the I like to get the context as the big picture, and then we can sort of have a look at the actual game itself. So we've just started up the game. We haven't played a turn yet, which again, if people are sort of watching my channel, will sort of know that that's pretty much par for the course. It takes me a long time to get started, but in this case, so we've just been hit pretty hard by the Japanese forces. Might just talk a little bit about the way that the forces are structured as well in the game. Like so, for example, if we go to the Chicago heavy cruiser here, and I won't sort of get it to move, but if we have a look at it, it's actually got like a few different. It's got the number 3 is its strength. It was 10 by default, and then it's got the 3 numbers there, which are, and they're not. It's not thousands. It's actually each one of those is a technological advancement, isn't it, in the game? So if
Yeah.
I right click and go upgrade, is that no? If I go to, it is upgrade, isn't it?
Well,
Upgrade.
yeah, you probably could upgrade it. You click on heavy cruiser there, because it's what happened is the game is reading the port and the cruiser, so you got to specify which one you want to upgrade.
Right. Okay. Yep. And so in this case, just to sort of show again the depth of the game, because like there is actually advancements that do actually come through. So we can, if we wanted to, upgrade our naval weaponry. Looks like we've got a couple we could do with that one. They're anti-aircraft defence and anti-submarine warfare as well. So these are all upgradable if we want to spend the points on them. So we've got 155 MPP. We've got sort of like the points in through that side. We can, for example, go across and upgrade the first of them. So it's like number 1, which is going to be like 38. To do it again a second time, 75. So we probably don't want to be spending the points on these. But I thought I'd just sort of show this is sort of how you then tweak your units. And so when you're actually looking at the units on the map, just if you're sort of newish to the game, you'll see that it's got like the main number, like 10 and then 12. I don't know if there's a way to make that bigger actually for people. That may be a bit small for some people to sort of see. Is there a setting that you know of, Robert, that would actually allow us to see a little bit bigger the text?
No, I don't know. Other than going out and resetting it, it might be up on the upper right-hand corner. You might be able to change the resolution of your screen and make it actually bigger. There you go.
Yeah, look, I'll keep it on this setting. I think it's just 1080p, but yeah, it's hopefully that. Yeah, look, I'll just describe what it actually is. Greg is
No,
saying 1 hour in
yeah,
and
no
finally
problem.
seeing gameplay.
No problem. This is this is an interesting part that we're talking about the technology upgrades and the build upgrades. You've got a limited number of MPPs in this scenario,
Oh,
and I
sorry,
tried to
yes.
model and I tried to create a stressor for players where they had to decide, are they going to reinforce existing units, or are they going to increase the technological abilities of those units?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
this scenario is about a 15-month scenario. It goes from August, which is longer than 15 months, August of 1942 until December of 1943. So there were technological advancements during this time. So the game actually gives you that option. Can you bring in new equipment and outfit your ships and aircraft better, or should you reinforce the Marines on Guadalcanal? So it's sort of like a decision you have to make both with the more with the Americans because they have higher technology, but also with the Japanese.
Right, yeah. And so we've got the MPPs back up in the top here, and you can see that you've got the two different groups. Like the British aren't attracting any at all at this stage, and and it is essentially just the USA that's got all of the points that are being generated. The British can, like, this is the Australian ship, isn't it? This is the Australia heavy cruiser. In this instance,
Yeah, that's the U.S. Okay.
that one can still be using the. Can that use the same MPP points to do its upgrade?
No, they have to use the British one.
Right. Yeah. So we can't do the upgrade. So they and
They have to be in a port.
they can reinforce, can they? Use,
Not let you have to for naval units. You have to get into a port before
right.
you
Yep.
can reinforce or upgrade.
So if I move this cruiser, for example, into Tulagi, into the port, so these are all ports that we sort of see in through here. So if I move that one across and then actually right click on it, I still can't reinforce. Is that
The next,
because it's British or Commonwealth?
that's for two. Yeah, it's for two reasons. One, you're correct. It is for the they would need Commonwealth points, but also because they moved into the port that turn, they've got to start the turn in the port.
Ah, right.
The
Okay.
reason you were able to Yeah, the reason you were able to modify the American one is that as that cruiser was receiving fire from the Japanese, it retreated into the port
Yeah.
automatically. So it started your American turn in port.
And quite often when you start this scenario, they both end up in port, don't they? Like at the start, like they both retreat back to the ports.
That or they're sunk.
Yeah, yeah, I've had that happen too. So, but if they do, like, that's the first time I've actually seen one of the cruisers stay outside of the port, like from the start. Like it
Yeah.
was that one did manage to sort of. It didn't take as much damage as what they often do take, which is cool. Let's talk about a few of the other things, I guess, on the actual map itself. I mean, we've got the various sort of. Maybe we'll come back to Guadalcanal in a minute. If I just sort of zoom out a little bit, and we'll just have a bit of a look through. We've got the slot that runs through here, and I guess just again historically, if we talk about these a little bit, we've then got the South Pacific Ocean back on the outside, and then we've sort of got like the Solomon Sea on the inside here. The Japanese, like the big naval battles were actually mainly happening in here, weren't they? Just on the north of Savo Island for most of the like to try to block the Japanese. The Japanese had to either come through this way or this
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, you know that, and that's interesting because today's date is not only Armistice Day or Veterans Day as we call it in the United States, but today was the first Battle of Guadalcanal. I believe it was 11 November, or maybe it was 12 November. And anyways, around within a couple of days, there was two battles. Within 5 days, there were two battles that took place off the coast of Guadalcanal called Bottom Sound. The Japanese had reinforced the island, wanted to neutralize Henderson Field, and moved battle cruisers. Some called them battleships. I call them battle cruisers. Moved battle cruisers into the slot, down through the slot into Iron Bottom Sound, and started shelling Henderson Field. The Americans countered with a number of heavy and light cruisers and sunk one of the battleships. Of course, the Americans took horrendous losses. A couple days later, one of the battleships, the American battleships, came in. The surviving Japanese battleship came in and ended up, I think it was two American battleships, excuse me, two American battleships, number of cruisers on the Japanese side, led by the battle cruiser. And at that point in time, the Americans were able to overcome the Japanese and basically established some semblance of control over the nighttime waters of Guadalcanal at that point. Sort of like was the turning point. So I think this time in November, early November, was definitely the turning point in Guadalcanal.
Was there in the lead up to that? There were some battles? From what I can remember of reading the history of this, and that was quite some time ago. But wasn't there some issues where there was some really poor decision making on both sides, or was it mainly the American side initially, where they were positioning their fleet incorrectly and having all sorts of troubles?
Yeah, there was interesting. It was I would say probably the biggest single loss for the Americans was that opening battle, this battle that we're looking at in the gate map, the Battle of Savo Island. Just, there was actually in front of those cruisers, the American Australian cruiser were actually picket destroyers, and they just by happen chance missed the Japanese fleet. I think it was from reading the history, it was a combination of human error, the commanders not being aware of what the capabilities that the Japanese had, and as opposed to the Japanese being very well trained in night fighting, that were able to sneak into the American perimeter and launch those attacks before the Americans even knew
Right.
what was going on.
And was it again? It's been probably years since I've read this, but was it Admiral Halsey? Is that the person who then took over the running?
Yeah, right. Halsey was appointed as the naval commander. I forget the name of the first commander. He was actually the commander that oversaw the initial invasion of Watchtower, or the initial Operation Watchtower. And then Halsey came in later. But funny, MacArthur called Halsey his admiral. General MacArthur was the theater. General MacArthur was Southwest Pacific commander, and Nimitz was the Central Pacific commander.
Right, and so was MacArthur involved in the Operation Watchtower, which was the invasion of Guadalcanal?
That's a very interesting question because they drew boundary lines, right? So what the Southwest Pacific Theater was supposed to include Guadalcanal, the lower part of the Solomon Islands, but when it was necessary to launch Operation Watchtower and take over the airfield on Guadalcanal, the Joint Chiefs of Staff shifted that boundary to the west, and they created a command for that western part, which fell under Nimitz, and then MacArthur's part. But there was so much coordination that was needed because, as we looked at the map before, Port Moresby and Australia is just to the west of this. They were very closely and coordinating. When Halsey replaced the first commander, eventually Halsey and that naval force, I think it was called the Fifth Fleet, fell under MacArthur for its attack and conquest of New Guinea and surrounding of Rabaul.
Right, right, yep, okay. Yeah, it's very interesting and convoluted, isn't it? The whole, it just even on that more meta level with the actual histories with the commanders, because a lot of them hated each other, didn't they? Like MacArthur didn't get on with a lot of the other commanders.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You read the history, and depending on who's writing the history and
Yeah,
what decade they read or wrote the book, different people have different opinions.
yeah, interesting. It's really interesting. It's sort of funny because MacArthur was in charge of Australia as well, I think, at that stage, and so he's quite revered here, like in terms of, that he was the person that was here to help us.
Yes,
So, which is quite funny. And
yes,
you're
he
talking there
was.
about the dates of either the 11th or 12th. It's probably both because it would have been the 11th in America and the 12th in the Solomons.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, if
yeah,
like
that's right.
depending on how things sort of work out. I mean, it's exactly like as per now. It's the 12th for me right now, and it's the 11th for, I guess, the vast majority of you guys at this point in time. So it's yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how, like, again, it was just the scale of the Pacific, just absolutely massive. Let's talk about a few of the other little things that we've actually got in the game, I guess. So we've got in this case here, we've got the American carriers down through this other side. We can see that there's a fog of war here that we don't get to sort of see, outside the fog of war. And this is sort of quite interesting because the fog of war in this campaign really played a massive role. Like as you said before about the missing the transports that were coming through from Rabaul to actually then try to sort of reach it. But they often come around through the north side of Santa Isabel Island, I think, didn't they? This area through here was also an area that the
Yeah,
Japanese really needed to try to protect. And as that's
yeah, yeah. I modeled it right after what the Japanese did with their aircraft carriers. Is they kind of swung around the northern part of the Solomon Islands and would launch attacks there, because if they were to go to the western part of the Solomon Islands, there was American and Australian bombers that were doing reconnaissance flights. So if they came in between New Guinea and Solomons, they would have been easier to detect. So the Japanese swung around the north, the east, or the eastern or the northern part of the Solomons down in the south. So a lot of the carrier battles actually took place in the upper right hand quadrant of
Right.
this map.
Yep. Yep. And so, and again, just looking at the scale of what we're talking about as well. This is we're talking about the bases, and so this area through here is the modelling of the various bases that we sort of see, like the Australian bases, the Royal Navy headquarters, for example, the American bases, and then New Zealand as well. And so when let's bring in that new unit, for example, just to sort of show how this then sort of works in the game. So with the new unit, we've got the 1st Marine Radar Special Forces, which is coming back in. If I go and click on that one and click on OK, it'll then show me where I can drop this. And the only place I can drop it is in around the Air Force Base and through here. And so it has to then move from this Air Force Base across into the across and then be transported out. So if we just position that one there for as an example, we can't do anything with that this turn. Its movement is now used, but we'll leave it there for next turn. So we'll come back to that unit. We also then have other units that are still currently here as well. The 7th Marine Regiment, for example, is sitting back in through here in the Comso Pack. Whereabouts was that located? Was this Los Angeles or?
Espirito Santo, which was sort of how Rabaul is to Guadalcanal for the Japanese. Espirito Santo was the most forward base for the Allies. I think Espirito Santo, if I'm correct, it was actually a French colony, or am I incorrect in that? But anyways, it was either Australian or French, and it was occupied, used as a forward base by the Americans.
Let's have a quick look. Was it around New Caledonia, I guess?
Um, just above. See that one island above it? Yeah. That Ventua? Is that
Vanuatu.
And you, yeah, Vanuatu.
Yeah, because that
I
Vanuatu was. I went there on my honeymoon actually. It was like I know that there was a massive American bases here, so that would be. I'm guessing that sort of we'd be modelling the Vanuatu Islands. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I think a lot of names I captured a lot of the naming in this map was primarily because of the colonies were called something different, and then after the colonies gained independence, they were changed. So the name used to be Espiritu Santos, and then of course it was brought back to the name Vanuatu.
yep, yep. So there it is. There actually, it's mentioning it there on the map. So I didn't realize it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that Vanuatu was actually Espiritu Santo. I had no idea where that was.
Yeah.
I've seen the name mentioned a lot of times, but never knew that was actually it. So anyway, hi FPS Korean, and hi to anybody else that has joined us as well. Again, ask any questions, guys. If you've got anything you want to ask Robert, he can certainly sort of answer any questions you have. But anyway, that's cool. So that was actually because I remember on my honeymoon that was actually a there was a lot of bases I think on this area of the island, like a massive
Yeah,
and,
there was.
and at the end of the war they just bulldozed everything into the ocean.
Yeah, there was one called Turtle Bay, which was a main, I think a main bomber base, and I actually tried to model that in the game.
Oh, okay,
And
right.
if you go back to the game, you can see sort of on the perimeter of those up a little bit, and you see the bomber base right there. You can see that where I put that out on the corner, so the bombers actually could reach to that area, patrol that area, and watch for the Japanese fleet. But the way the game engine is written, I couldn't just put the bomber base on those other hexes in the back there
Yep.
on the base area, because then they couldn't fly over that gray area. So I had to kind of just model it in such a way where they could still have the impact that the bombers did, but it looks kind of weird, where it is there, but it is a sort of a generalization of the capabilities of all the bomber bases. But I called it Turtle Bay.
Let's actually have a look at this, because it's one of the things I wanted to sort of show in the game as well. Like if we go and click on the actual bombers themselves, we can then that's moving, isn't it? If we do that, that's a movement command.
Right.
It'll still go and scout that area. Is that correct? If I click
Right, and you'll see the dark blue change to light blue.
the where was that? Sorry, oh yeah, with the fog of war. Yep. So if I
Yeah,
was the limits go
so
out to
there you're out
here.
of range a little bit.
Sorry, what was
Yeah.
that?
No, you're right. I was going to say the same thing you did. You're out of range there.
Yeah, so we've got a range to Guadalcanal. I was going to ask, is it desirable to shift them to Henderson Field as soon as you can, or is it best to leave them back here, like just from a strategic point of view in the game?
Yeah, as far as tactics goes, and the way the air forces were employed by the Allies, they usually kept the bombers back a little bit. And in this game, I tried to model the historical, and the Allies put Navy, Army, and Marine Corps planes on Henderson Field. So, in this scenario, within a turn or two, you'll get a reinforcement that actually comes, reinforcement air unit that actually lands on Henderson Field and is the first contingent was what would become the Cactus Air Force, as it was called, on
Actually,
Guadalcanal during the battle.
that's one thing I meant to show earlier. Actually, let's do that now, where we actually open up when you in the game. If you go to this question mark, you've got access to the user manual, which will then sort of open up the actual manual itself. But you've also got access to the strategy guide, and this is exactly what Robert's just then now talking about. If we just open that one up, and so this is these are great reading. Like if you actually want to go and have a read of information that actually happened. I know. I don't know. I hope that you guys that are watching don't mind that we're sort of really just going all over the place with this and not really focusing too much on just the actual gameplay. But I really love looking underneath the in depth as to the decision making behind the building of this, in that sort of sense. And so we've got like a whole lot of different things where where Robert has actually now written out the whys and wherefores, I guess, of the actual of what's happening with this particular campaign. It's explaining sort of what happened. Things like this map, for example, are these like historical maps, or like are these taken from historical documents? Sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of what I get, a lot of my material comes from open source. A lot of it is government material. Both the British and the American governments have a lot of their historical documentation, full histories online that you can use. I think I took this probably from a U.S. Navy, and this shows the actual battle, that first battle that you just experienced, the Battle of Savo Island.
Yep. Yep.
On the left, you see yeah,
So we've got the Japanese
yeah,
that came through this area through here, which is what we just saw there,
yeah.
and then we've got the. So is Florida? No, Florida. That Tulagi is back in here somewhere, isn't it? That's
No, you're right.
oh,
Tulagi is that
Tulagi's there.
little dot just below.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Yep. And so and then they've got the various other forces, the Chicago, the Canberra, etc., in through there as well. Yeah. Okay. So this,
yeah,
yeah, so a few different sorts of eastern force and southern force back and through there, and then the northern force. Yeah, interesting. So
yeah,
it's again, like if you got the game, have a good look, guys, at these strategy guides. Like they're actually interesting reading anyway, just as a historical document. Like as I said before, they do remind me very much of the Warhammer guides, which are all set full of non-historical stuff, but still fun stuff if you're into Warhammer. Victory conditions back and through here again. It explains a lot of what you need to do. And so in this case, for the USA, they have to hold Henderson Field, then capture Reynard, Sigi, Amunda, and the Barracooma airfields, and one of the three airfields of Buka, Kieta, or Kahili on Bougainville. Now that means does that mean you have to then cross that border into Bougainville to then try to capture something on
yeah.
that location?
Yeah, that's what this whole game was about. It actually, I could have limited it to Guadalcanal, which would have, we could still do that at some point in the future. But this one is mainly focused on the Solomon Islands campaign as a whole. So
Yep.
the Allies moving up the slot, to New Georgia and then to Bougainville, and picking off those Japanese held garrisons
Let's have a look at those.
is modeled in this game. And what you have to do, if you can hold Guadalcanal as the Allied player, because the Japanese are going to come in the next couple turns really hard and really fast and try to take Henderson Field. And if they take Henderson Field, that's the end of the game. But if you can hold on, that doesn't end this scenario for you. Now you've got to push forward, and you've got to take these different key spots in the Solomon Islands.
And we're seeing
You
the
have
red
to-
the
and
red
this is where
stars.
you're-
They're the objectives, aren't they? Reynard Airfield, that's an
Yeah.
objective. Yep. And the
Yeah.
then we've got the Sagi Airfield objective, the Munda Airfield. So so the red stars are the objectives, and then we've got the Barakuma Airfield. There's what's the green stars? How do they work with
See,
these?
those three green stars. You have to take one of those three airfields
Yep. Oh,
and
okay.
all the
Yep.
red stars.
Right. So one of those and all the reds. Yeah. Right. Okay. Again, it's nicely laid out as opposed to so many of the other sort of war games. You know, with what does go on there. So that's the objective. Again, yeah, it's interesting. It sort of for me, it really puts into perspective the whole Solomon's campaign. Like it's I find it surprising because we hear about things like Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima and stuff like this, but without really getting a context of what's around it and what's actually happening. So it's very cool to sort of see that. In terms of, and again, just trying to sort of show the game off, as much as we possibly can without playing like the full campaign as such. Hope you guys that are watching don't mind us really sort of skirting the edges like this, but I think it's worth seeing, basically what does happen with the game. Let's just go and, for example, we've got our main carrier fleet down here to the south of San Cristobal Island, and so if we're going to move that one up, I'm thinking ideally I'd be trying to do some reconnaissance first. And so if I grab the aircraft carrier, the first time I do it, this is the movement of the aircraft carrier. If I click it a second time, that then is the range of the bombers, isn't it, that are on board?
Oh no, that is what's called what's that mode called where you speed up? Anyways, that's the max you can go. But I believe once you go that speed and you go that far and that fast, that you lose your ability to launch aircraft. So
Okay.
usually, yeah, you usually might want to use that if you're in the rear area and you feel pretty safe. You're not going to run into any Japanese units. But were you to use it like this, you could move all the way up there, but that would be it.
Yeah, and that would be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, you don't know what's in the fog of war. Yeah.
Well, we sort of do after the last battle.
There's a little trick. You could punch your destroyers up there to kind of do a reconnaissance.
Yep.
To see if
Yep.
those waters are clear, and then you can move the aircraft carrier behind the destroyer, because if there is Japanese there, the American destroyers will run into them first.
Yeah, and when I click it a second time, is this the range of the aircraft?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm with you. So and we click it again, and we're back to that one there is sorry. So there's actually 4 clicks. I didn't realize there was 4. I thought there was only 3. So the first one is just normal movement. The second click is sorry. I've got that one wrong again. I'll just go and start again. So that is normal movement. That is extended movement. So that's actually going at full bore. Then we've got the range. Is this the range of the bombers or the?
I think this is the intercept range for the combat air patrol.
Yep. Okay, and then we've got the second one that when we click it, that's the range of that's the escort. Is that the escorted bombers?
Yeah, I may have those two messed up. I'll have to look that up. But one of them is the escort, the combat air patrol, and the other one is the actual planes can attack at this distance. It's called a strike distance.
Yeah, and so yeah, okay. So this is sort of like where if the carriers see things coming, they can then protect within this sort of region, or they can protect other assets within this sort of region. These regions.
Yes.
Yep, and so the Japanese will have the same thing, of course, from their airfields, etc., as well, and And so if we go and have a look at the, now to go onto the actual aircraft itself, I'm just trying to think of the best way of actually sort of showing the what you can do on these. If we go across to the convoy mode, so radar, that fast movement? Is that the radar? Is that the actual, like if I go and click on radar? Oh no, that's different again.
Yeah, what that does, that is primarily used, radar is used when you have supply convoys in a game. You mainly see that in the larger campaigns
Oh,
where you
okay.
have, for example, you have lend lease from America to Britain, and a radar might be excuse me, the better example is from Britain to Russia, and then in Norway is a German bomber that's, you click it and put it on radar, so the radar will intercept and interdict those supplies coming into Russia, into Murmansk.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yep. And so, and the modes are interesting as well. Like this one here, you actually have to choose whether you go fighters or bombers or mix. So,
Yeah, so that's a very interesting, uh, a very interesting setting, because you can either have all your planes on the carrier doing fighter cover, and you might want to do that. Like, let's say if you were to move north and you were to want to protect Henderson Field from Japanese bombers that are sure to come in there, you'd leave it there, right? And you'd move closer to Guadalcanal to provide a combat air patrol
yep.
and intercept any incoming Japanese bombers. Or if you wanted to just, you see those cruisers that are just north of Guadalcanal, or in Guadalcanal, the Japanese ones. So you could actually move it, keep it all on bombers. Then all your planes that attack those cruiser and that, or that destroyer right next to it, would attack with full force. But then you'd be subjected to a counterattack from Japanese forces. So when you're in close contact with enemy forces like that, the best thing to do is a mixed choice, that third choice on that. It kind of gives you the capability, the full capabilities
And does it
of the carrier strike.
does it weaken the fighter command when you actually do that one? So if I right click on that one again and just go to set mode with the like if I go to mix, does that mean we're really getting like 50% of the fighters available, or is it
Yes.
like, so if we were trying to interdict the bombers that were going to be coming from the Japanese airfields, like, and again, I'm guessing I'm sort of asking for tips here. Do you think it's best to keep it on fighters in this case and move them just below into the Solomon Sea, just below Guadalcanal, rather than sort of being
Yeah,
too
that would be
aggressive?
a yeah, no, that would be a great tactic. It's all up to what the player wants. Again, that decision-making process for the player, is kind of forced in the game mechanics. You have to decide, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to protect from incoming air attack, or do you want to attack the Japanese fleet that you see? So you have
Yeah.
a decision right now to make.
And we can see there again, like looking at the little numbers, we've got 10 health for the aircraft carrier itself, and we can see it here as well. And then 10 health for the actual aircraft on board the carrier is as well. And this has to be looked after when you're playing the game. Just to sort of explain a little bit about how that one does work. You will need to, if you run out of, you need to go back into a port to then replenish the aircraft or the ship itself if they get damaged. So if we go back in again, I'll just right click again. We've got the set mode, fighters, bombers, or mix. We've also then got the cap mode where we've got the auto, where it'll just make its own decisions, intercept, escort, or ground. And so in this case, if we put them all on intercept and we were going to look to protect Henderson Field initially with the carriers, would that be the best option, or is it best to just leave it on auto?
Yes.
Uh,
It's best. Yeah, I usually play with auto when I do, so that I have more flexibility. But if you know that main mission of that aircraft carrier is to protect somebody else or the fleet, you would leave it on intercept. One of the things you could do is, like in the bigger scenarios, you usually have more carrier units. You could have one carrier that's on intercept and maybe a couple other ones, that are doing
right.
other missions like bombing missions.
Yep.
So you
Yep.
could mix them that way. With something this small, you could have one doing one and the second carrier doing another. But you're right, intercept is best when you're trying to protect something like Guadalcanal or the airfield, the Henderson Field.
Yeah, and I guess again, this is an interesting, just showing the depth of decision making. Even though the game on the surface looks so simple, there's actually so much depth with all of the different things. Like the aircraft carriers do actually have a lot of decision making. Let's move this fleet up, so at least we can do something this turn. So, and I will just go to the south of rather than sort of pushing the destroyers up. So I'm going to start with Dale, like the Dale destroyer initially, and you can see there they've all got the same strength and etc. But these would be easier to damage. So we're moving into the fog of war as we sort of come back up. So I'll just move it up into here. Oops, hang on. I always right click. It should be just the left click. So I'll move it up into this region. It will then expose, there it goes, when I click off it. It's then sort of shown, like it now can see this area in through here, and also the path that it then sort of chose. If I just go and grab this one as an example into here, and I can still just keep on going with this. If I let go of that, it's actually one thing I haven't tested. Yeah, I can still keep it going. So I can actually expose more of the fog of war if I have to, just by being cautious. Actually, no, that's interesting. That's the fog of war didn't actually expose at the end there, only at the first move. I didn't realize it did that actually. So you can actually move in, have a look around, and then the second move, it doesn't expose the fog of war. Is that sort of like so that you can move in and out?
Right. Yeah. We put that into design.
Yeah, that's really cool actually. So you can, for example, like I know that this is not going to have anything in it, but in this case, if I wanted to sort of see if there was anything out this way, I would be able to then sort of move out to here and then expose the fog of war here. Or if I wanted to look at it in here, I could have a quick look, expose the fog of war, and then not expose the fog of war back over this other side, just with that sort of mechanics, which is, I'll just go all the way out to there. So we're seeing a little bit further afield. We know that the Japanese ships that did all the damage are up in this region. So I'll just keep on moving these other ships back up. We've got another of the heavy cruiser, the New Orleans. Just move it up into here. The aircraft carriers, move them up as well. And I will right-click on this one and just change the mode. The mode to actually it's already on fighters, and I'll just put it on an intercept. So we'll sort of leave that one where that is. Just go back into here. Let's do the same. Let's go into mode fighters. I'll keep that on there, and cap mode. I'll put that on intercept as well at this stage. Just keep both of them together. That way, if the bombers do come after the carriers, they can help protect each other. And then we've got a light cruiser as well. I'll just move that one up and sort of stick with the fleet. Okay, so that's sort of like, I guess again, there's not a mountain of units to move around, but that's now in a position with, if we have a look and click on these again, that's I forget which one's which, but you can see there that we're covering Henderson Field with the crafter meter. Which one of these I sort of go and click on. So if they're using intercept, they're going to be helping to intercept any bombers that do come back into here. We also know that the Japanese are in control of different areas of the actual island itself. We've got a headquarters unit back in through here as well. This is Vandergrift HQ. And again, I'm guessing that these will become a target, won't they, of the Japanese? Like the Japanese will sort of go after the headquarters, as I guess we would if we could find Japanese HQs as well.
Yeah, they will. Headquarters have two main functions. One, they can improve the fighting of your ground units or air units, and they provide additional supply to those units. Supply is also provided by the bases that you see on the base or on the island.
Yep.
So supply comes in two ways, of which the headquarters does both functions: supply and command and control.
Right. Yeah. So if I just click that one off and just get rid of the units there for a second. So if we have a look at supply, because this is another aspect which is quite interesting actually. Where is the supply? That's how to show supply. There we go. And so this has a big bearing on your replacements, doesn't it? Really, like this is, I guess, one of the main features of the supply system in the game itself. And so with the where it's got the 6 and then the 4 that's coming in after that, that's indicating a lower supply that can be brought in. Is that correct?
Right. Well, so that 6 is representing a 6 of a 10. Some of the supply in the game goes up to 12, but for purposes here, it's 10. So that hex is a 6. The one right next to it is a 4 because the 4 is in mountains, so it's less supplied.
Okay, so the little bracket 4 though, can you see the little red 4?
Right. Right. That's what it currently is, and I think the 6 is actually what is going to. It's currently 6 and will be 4 next turn,
Ah,
and I
okay.
don't know why that is,
Could it
but
be the fighter, like the building of the strip?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that one fighter strip is modeled to be built as the campaign goes forward.
Yep.
So I think the 6. I think the 6. Oh, let me. Of course, I know why. Excuse me. I had to think about it for a second. The 6 is because the headquarters unit is there, so it increases
Ah,
that hex's supply by 1.
right. Okay. So it then raises the supply. Yep. So it would be 4 without the supply, without the headquarters. So the
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. And so we've got the headquarters there. We do actually have a grouping through here, which is the 1st Marine Division. We can see where they can actually move to. They can move up into there, or they can move across the airfield and into this region down through this other side. And again, like when I've been playing, I've just been marching off into different locations and then bringing supplies in. It may be dangerous to do that, but I'll do the same thing in through here. So I'll just bring it down into here. Enemy contact. So we now actually meet the enemy in through this other side. We can see there that we've actually got, if we have a look at the upgrades that we actually have, actually we can't see them in through there, but we've actually got like the 1 and 2 in through there. So we've got a fairly advanced group. They've got 1 upgrade in through this other side. And when we actually look at the combat through this, we then actually have we're going to be doing 2 damage, is what basically what the calculation actually is in through there. If we have a look at the like down the very, very bottom where it's got the 0 and 2, you can see down we've got the 1st Marine Division on the left-hand side and the 2nd 28th Infantry Battalion of Japan on the right-hand side. They're only strength 8 at this point in time. Both have got supply of 5. We've just used up all of our movement action points. They've still got 4 or 5 action points that they have, I guess, for next turn. They've got 0 entrenchment at this point in time. So, and we've got each have got 1 strike. Is there anything else, like with what we see through there? The HA equals 4 minus 1 equals 3, etc. Can you explain what that actually is, Robert?
I really have always ignored that.
Oh, okay.
It's the actual. It's the actual calculation. There's in the editor, going back to what we were talking about before, you can set, the effect that a certain terrain has on a unit, giving it more defensive or less movement. And in this case, the terrain is obviously affecting the battle, along with the quality of the unit. So in that little number you have down there, those numbers, those calculations, is actually showing you the calculations that the computer is making, the AI is making.
Yeah, so because we're 2 above, like the HA is the attack factor, isn't it, really? So we've got like the 4 minus 1 equals 3. So I'm guessing the terrain would be impacting in that sort of sense, just to do a bit of a deep dive into it. And then the defense is the second side, HD is the defense. We've got 2 minus 1. That would I guess be the quality of the unit that they're going up against? Could it also be the size of the unit, like the relative size, like a division versus a battalion?
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
There's Bill did a really good job explaining all this in the manual. I'm going to have to familiarize myself.
Yeah, well, there's only 300 pages to read. So, anyway, let's.
Yeah, there you go. That's the depth of this game has in it. Even the designers don't know everything about it. I've been on many conversations where, oh yeah, we did that 2 months ago. We do so much that we forget what
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
done, or we just didn't need to do it. So in my case, I just bypassed this.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like I guess I don't know. It's just something in me. I just like knowing all the maths of why things are doing what they're doing, and it's sort of, and I like that things are exposed, but it's yeah, I'm just, so that's why I thought I'd ask the question. But anyway, if I just do a right click on that one, sorry, a left click, I can then just do the attack, and that
Yep.
did then follow the the prediction, meaning that it did lose then 2 health. So this particular grouping now is down to 6 out of 10 health, and it's still going to have
You
the
also
4.
notice.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you also notice the morale goes down a little bit.
Oh, of course, yes. Actually, this is something where could I have used the bombers to have actually softened them up before the attack?
Yeah, or the ships.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, this ship in here is actually in. Let's actually use some of our points. We've still. Oh, damn! I do that a lot actually. There's no undo, is there?
Not for naval units.
No, no. So unfortunately, I can't. I often left click to deselect rather than right click. Again, bad muscle
Okay.
memory. I'll move it back into there. Can no longer fix this up. I better move it right out of the way, actually.
Yeah, fire that captain.
Yeah.
He
Well,
doesn't know how
that's,
to maneuver his ship.
we don't actually have any other ports this side either. Like and I guess
Yeah,
that's a big part of the game. So this guy's going to have to actually leave the combat, and because of my mistake. I'll leave this one because it's still got 5 on it, so I'll leave that one where that is. We've actually got a Japanese destroyer back in through there, which we don't know what the strength actually is. We do actually have the Talbot, which is another destroyer coming back up through here. So what I'll do is I will actually move up next to this one, and it's going to be 1 damage each. This one's only at strength 8. So we'll actually go and right click on this. Oh, sorry, I did the right click, left click thing there again as well. So we did 1 damage, we took 1 damage, and I can still move back out of the way. I'm going to move this one into this port for now. We'll just leave that one where that actually is. In terms of the other movement that we actually have, we've still got these units as well that can then be used. So we've actually got these back in Espiritu Santo. And so what we'll do is we'll actually now go and get these ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll just go and place these. There's different things we can do with these. We can essentially upgrade them at this point in time. We can transport them. We can do an amphibious transport or a long-range amphibious transport as well. So we've got different ways of actually doing them. Do you have a preference when you actually play this one, Robert?
yeah. Like this one, what I like to do is get reinforcements in there as quickly as possible. Since the Americans hold the little port in Guadalcanal, it's really easy to bring them in once you get them on the transport and move them to those red hexes so that they go into the loop. You're going to then be able to next turn bring them into the fight and put them on the line right away. However, if you use the amphibious transport, you probably want to use the long range one because of the distances in this game. So what you would do is the first step would be to load up.
Sorry,
Second
you've just gone
turn
quiet
would be
there.
move them to the reds. Yeah, it would take one
Robert, sorry,
turn
I don't know
longer
if you can
if
hear
you were
me, but
using.
your microphone just cut off. So I think I'll just talk until Robert can do some testing. It's I'm not sure what happened there.
You,
Oh, there he is.
do you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So I don't know how much you heard, but transports will take you 2 turns to get into Guadalcanal because you have the port. That's going to be advantageous to get your units online quicker. But if you didn't have control of that port, or you wanted to do an end around some of the Japanese unit, you want to use amphibious, that's going to take you 1 more turn to get that done. So all depend, again, another decision point for the
Yep.
player.
So what Robert's saying there, just to sort of just to go over that one. So with those units, let's just say that we wanted to land in here. We have to use amphibious transport to actually get to there, but it will take longer to get there. Or we can go through normal transport straight to the port and come off the port. So in 2 turns rather than 3 turns to there. I'll do a normal transport because we do have to get to Henderson Field fairly quickly. So, and we've got different things in through here as well. This is actually a field artillery. So I'm just going to go and go to the normal transport. it will then spend 11 MPP, so 11 of our 155. We'll just go yes. That's now on the transport ships, and I can move it this turn. So I can actually move that now. If it's an amphibious transport, I can only move it one, I think, rather than moving it, any sort of depth. And so I've got two different exit points in through here. I'll just move it up to here, for example. Just move that one to there. Just come back down, grab the Marines as well. And I'm sort of tempted to show amphibious transport just to so you can see the difference. Let's do that just for the fun of it. This one costs a lot more, 43. If I just go no and click on that again, and then just try to do the normal transport, it's only 14. So it actually takes a lot more MPP to do the transport. Again, another decision-making point there. But let's go and actually do one of these amphibious ones. Again, we're just sort of showing off aspects of the game. So you can see we've now got a landing craft, and we can only move one. So initially, next turn we can then move two. So it means we have to do things a little bit differently with both of these. Let's end our turn here and just see what happens in the actual game. So if we just go and end our turn. There we go, we finished one turn, guys. Only 2 hours in. Yeah, so this is actually when we're looking at the editor about the decision making with that loop that Robert had mentioned. So shall Allied ships continue to the Solomon Islands? Yes. And so that one will now, so Allied naval ships continue sailing to the Solomons. Coast watchers are active, and so this is actually the Commonwealth forces are now looking for Japanese forces. And they spot Japanese naval forces 5 hexes away. So the coast watchers, etc., etc. We won't read all of this, but again, it's very immersive, the actual game itself. British Empire and Majors, we do finally get 31 now for the coast watchers, and the USA collects another 255. Just calculate the supply. Now Japanese are now moving. Will they bomb? Here they come. The defensive fire is now trying to protect the Australia. There go the bombers. They did get through, and we didn't intercept those from the aircraft carriers. Intelligence report. So heavy cruiser spotted in Rabaul. So we actually now have some information basically. So and that's random. The way that one does come through. So T5 Cats are saying no undo for ships. Yeah, no, it's we've got to get that changed, particularly with me in charge. It's a bit to distract the Japanese from Guadalcanal. US Marine raiders struck Macon Atoll in the Gilbert Islands. So this is actually historical. These are historical snippets, aren't they, Robert, that you sort of put into the game?
Yeah. I liked. I wanted to put some historical snippets that were directly related to what was going on in the Solomons, but also in other theaters. Like I'll have a lot of little pop-ups without a picture, but just the top portion, that yellow portion there, for what's going on in New Guinea, next door.
Yeah.
So you can kind of follow the progress of the Australians and know what else is going on in the war, the larger picture.
Yeah. No, it's really cool, actually. You don't mind if we go a little bit over, do you, Robert? Like, have you got time to?
No.
Yep. So.
I'm here. Okay. Yeah, this was really interesting. So this raid actually caught. It was in the Marshall Islands, I believe, or the Carolina Islands. I forget which. It was one of the Central Pacific group of islands. It was supposed to be a diversion for this.
Oh, okay. Yep.
But what it
just
did,
reading it there.
Yeah,
Gilbert and Marshall Islands. Oh no, that's different again.
Marshall Islands. Yeah.
Yeah.
What it did is it caused the Japanese to reinforce those areas, and really made it hard on Tarawa the following year.
Okay, so it's started to stretch them. Is that that was the goal?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't work in this case. They the Japanese did not respond to that feint.
Yep. So with what's just actually happened in through here, for example, we've got the Australia is actually now back in port. Let's have a quick look. I'm not going to left click or right click. I'm going to make sure I'm over land before I do that again, because we have an opportunity here to actually try to fix this up. It's almost destroyed, if I go and right click on this one and go to reinforce, I can do it here as well. Maybe it might be easier through the actual through the interface. So I can do it different ways, either right click or click on it to get the reinforcement to actually then happen. It's going to cost me some of the actually I've got 31 there, so I should now be able to do this a little bit. And so that's probably going to be the limits of what I can then go and do. If I also have a look at the supply again, if we just go and click on that one through there and have a look at the supply. The 8 means that I can only really do, the most I can put in there is another 8. So I could get it back up to 10 if I had the MPP. That's correct, isn't it? With the
Yeah, this port is supplied at 8, but if you go into the other ports down south, they're supplied at 10 and 12.
Right.
So you'll be able to get a fully repaired ship if you go south.
Right. Okay. Yep. So if in this case though, I'm down to two. I'm down to 2 points there. If I just go reinforce I just go to max, and so I can actually looks like with the 31 MPP, it's going to cost me 25 to just get another 2 points, which means that this one's going to struggle.
What we modeled the game because of the time frame. The game is only a few days long each turn, so you'd only be able to affect a certain amount of repair, and because that port is a little bit undersupplied, it also affects what you can do. So, like in the history, it models the history perfectly. If you had you could patch up a ship to get it seaworthy into Loggy, and then get it south as quick as you could to better facilities, in Australia.
Yep. So that I didn't ever actually think of that, of actually withdrawing them all the way back out and then getting them fixed properly. That's interesting, actually. That's something that I hadn't even considered doing that. I'm going to cancel this because I think that's a good idea. So if I click on it a second time, now is when
there you go.
Yeah, now you would do the transport. Yeah, great idea. Great idea. This one here as well. Let's get both of these to move into these areas. So next turn, they will then move back out. And if we click on the supply again, oops, hang on, I'll just click on that. Yeah, so we're now getting the 10s back in through here. Right. Yeah, I'm with you. That makes perfect sense. That's great, actually. It's really cool, actually, to be able to pick your brain like this.
No problem.
So,
but don't ask me about formulas. Don't ask me about the maths.
I'm going to move this one across. So this one now can move at full after it's gone, after they've all been loaded on. So we can move that one up to there. Now I won't play it for too much longer, but let's just go and move this one across. Now this one here we have to try to get into there. If I click a second time, I can now move this one across into that port there.
Yeah, you got to move the destroyer first, though.
Yeah,
move that destroyer first.
If I fix the destroyer up, it's only got 1 point. Does that mean I then can no longer move it that turn? I think it is, isn't it? It then is going to sit in that port.
No, it can move. Yeah, it's going to. No, you could move it up 1 or back 1, and move the transport in, land the troops, move the destroyer back into the port.
Oh, okay. Yep, I'm with you. So we can just do that.
Yeah, so it still has plenty of movement points left. Double click it first.
Yep.
See, click it a second time. Now, there you go.
And now we offload the troops.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the artillery that we've actually got on board, the Marine Field Artillery, which is then mentioned at the bottom there. So we'll just move that one down into there.
There you go.
And then we can move this one back in if we wanted to. Right.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all good. We've still got this one attacking. This one has now been replenished a little bit. So the 8, like it's now back up to 8 again. So we'll just keep this going until we can get reinforcements. So I'll just go and left click. That was good. We actually got 3 rather than the 2. We actually have. Let's do something different with the actual one of the aircraft carriers this time. So if I go and change the mode to bombers, so I'll just try to show different things in the game. If I change that to bombers and then actually go for this, let's just see if we can. Like bombarding would be mainly to do with the morale. They're 48 morale at the moment. I should have done this again before. Now the Japanese have sent interceptors from other locations, and they did 3 damage to my aircraft back in through there.
So that's interesting. Do you see why you didn't get escorted?
Why was that?
that other carrier was still on intercept. So what you would have to have done is you'd have to change that to either auto or escort. That's why one of the
Ah,
reasons why I
right.
find it. Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
put it on auto, you can do whatever. It again, flexibility sometimes is better than actual strength, the maximum strength.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good tip, actually. I can still go in though and bombard, can't I?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'll do that
Yeah.
again.
You can keep working on his morale and entrenchment. If he was entrenched, they could possibly unentrench
There's
him.
the escorts now.
There you go. Now your escorts are in there to uh,
We lost
protect
one.
that bomber. You should lose less.
Yeah, yeah, we lost less of the bombers. We lost two though on the other aircraft. So we now sort of I'll leave that one where that is at this stage. I'll leave all them where they are. And again, just to sort of show the now we've got still got that one, that transport there. That should disappear, doesn't it?
Oh, that's the destroyer.
Oh, that's a destroyer. Sorry, you're right. We've also got these bombers as well, which I think I can use these for patrolling. Let's just see if
Yeah.
let's send them up this way and just see what actually happens to see
Yeah.
if we can.
Watch out for those Japanese carriers.
Yeah, let's see if we can
They'll
find
come
them.
in fast.
I'll just do it.
You usually get two strikes with the patrol aircraft.
Right. Okay, so we can do another one. Now we can't go. This is outside our range, but this is still inside the range. So let's just go further up this way. Actually, we could. No, we can't. We can get out to here. Let's just. Well, we know we're going to be attacked from the airfield, so we'll keep it just up the top here. All right. So we're sort of just clearing that area a little bit with those particular aircraft. That one's coming out next turn. Let's just quickly end our turn and just sort of so we can see the other landings. Mindful that we have gone a little bit over time. Shall Allied ships continue? Yes. And these other ones are coming back in, so yes. I really like that we actually went to the editor first, actually, to sort of see how that all pieces these bits and pieces in together. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think it does. That was a really good call on your part.
Well, it's just accidental, but anyway, completely accidental. Okay, 31 and then 252. Oh, one thing we didn't show. Another thing we need to show with this as well. We didn't go deep enough into the guide, strategy guide.
Okay.
Yep. So this is Japanese amphibious operations at Milne Bay. This is actually part of Papua New Guinea. That was actually, they tried to get around the side of the Kokoda Trail at that stage historically. I do know that one.
Yes, sir.
But with the yeah, let's quickly go back and grab the yeah, we're getting more information about battleships being spotted, patrol aircraft being spotted. We have a heap of different new units coming in now. These are the fighters that will then go to Henderson Field, and so this one actually does start on Henderson Field. And so let's this is actually where we got to last time, where I did mean to go and show the rest of this. So let's keep on scrolling down through the strategy guide, and we get to a point deeper in where it goes through a lot of information about modifications, how things actually work for the actual scenario itself. But then what it also then does is to it really does prepare you well for playing the game. But then you've got this as well. And so this actually tells you the Allied reinforcement table, what you're going to get, not what you're likely to get, but what you're actually going to get. So we actually have, in this case, on the 8th of September, which is the current date, is we have the we've got fighters and a 2nd Marine Regiment, which are due to arrive at Guadalcanal. And then we actually have, also on the 8th, we've got strategic bombers, part of the 13th Bomber Command at Espiritu Santo. So these actually are then, when these do come in, so you can get to see the full everything you're going to be receiving for the whole of the campaign. So there's no which makes sense. There's no surprises with what you're going to ultimately be getting. So we start to get like another contingent of ships coming in as well, in the near future. So keeping this open is I think important when you're playing these sorts of games. Also, you've got the Japanese table in through there as well. They get a fair few different things coming down their way. Again, at different regiments at Rabaul, Guadalcanal, etc., etc. So there's a whole range of different stuff that they then end up picking up as well. So we're now up to, you can see there, the battle cruisers, battleships. I'm thinking the Mutsu must have actually been the one that we spotted back at Rabaul. So that's been reported back to us. And so that's having the strategy guide from that area through here. Sorry, I'll just go and cancel that for a second. But having that strategy guide, it's the second one down, if you do want to ever grab it from in-game. Now, with what we actually have, let's just go back across to where we can sort of start to drop these new units in. So you go to new units. The first two are going to be, one's going to go to Laguna Point. Let's just go and click on OK. And so it's going to then go back in around this area. So let's go and add this one into, say, here, for example. And then we've got the 1st Marine Air Wing Fighters. We'll just click on OK. And they can sort of be anywhere in around Henderson Field. Let's just go and place them on Henderson Field. Then we've got the 13th Bomber Command. Again, the ones that we saw in that list. We'll just click on OK. And they have to go back to here again. So we'll go and position those. I think I might have forgotten to move these last time. Actually, I didn't actually go through everything. Let's go and do just a normal transport. So yes, we'll spend the money. And so there's now the transport. It can now move straight off. Let's go and do an amphibious operation in through here. So if I move to here, if I move double, I can move double. I can move double if I have to, but we don't need to because we're going to surround this particular unit. So let's move across to here, and then I can land the troops. So this is actually how we can go onto any of the islands and start to take over different locations. So let's just go and move that one across into there. Now we did suffer some landing casualties. I don't think you get them if you land away from enemy troops. But anyway, we can just go back in. And again, we can look at see what their morale is 51 at this point in time. With what we've got now set up, let's just go into the mode is bombers. Cap mode doesn't matter for this one. We'll just right click on this one again. Mode is now is fighters, and the cap mode is on auto, which means that they will actually help these guys. We need to send these back to ports to get more fighters on board if we have to do this one. But let's go and try to butter them up. Oops, always right click. It should be left click. They're interceptors. We should have escorts. There we go. We lost one there, and no bombers. Their morale suffered slightly, down to 50. Let's just keep it going. So we'll do the attack again. Interceptors again. Down to 5 now. Okay, so that's so their morale is down to 49. So we're doing a little bit. Let's just go and hit this one again. Oops, hang on. I will actually move off and then hit this one. Yeah, I can't actually move that one around. Just do long range artillery on that one as well. Again, I should have done that one because the morale is down to 37. And this one here, I'm just going to hit this one as well. So we'll just weaken them a little bit. Okay, so we've now got the forces that have landed in. We've got these forces now sort of moving across as well. You can see the border is now sort of changing. But we have gone over time, so I'm going to have to sort of start to close things up. So I think what we'll do, is there anything else, Robert, you think we should be showing at this stage, just in terms of the scope of what the game does?
No, everything looks good. I just had a comment when you did that landing. There are different units that have different capabilities. The special forces units out with extra supply. So if you land something into a hex, the supply, the special forces unit will have its own supply, where
Oh,
that unit was a regular infantry regiment,
yep,
so it
yep.
won't have supply next turn. So it will be weaker. You accomplished the mission, right? You surrounded the enemy, but you're going to be a little bit weaker next turn.
Well,
So that's just something to know.
let's do it and see what
There's
happens. Just go yes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything else I have to add. It's just very specific. If somebody in your audience has a question for us, you can hit us up on Discord or hit us up on the Matrix forums, and we will answer a question for you.
Yeah, no, it's handy. Like, and again, like the responsiveness of particularly sort of strategy gaming communities is very, very good. So it's great actually. It's now we'll have
Well,
a quick.
that's really Bill and Hubert. They've done a great job, at building the community and being responsive, both just in the day-to-day answering of questions, but also in taking the ideas that the community has and putting it into the game.
Right. Yep. Yep. So just have a quick look at this supply, just so we can sort of see what Robert was just talking about. Just cancel those for a second. So during that little playthrough there as well, there was different attacks that were being intercepted by the carriers at that stage. You can see there that we've actually got more information now that we're starting to see. There's a headquarters unit back up the top. This one here, supply is now 0. There we go. So it went from 10 to 0 in one turn. So exactly as Robert sort of mentioned there. And so special forces, I think we get them. Do we get them this turn? No, we don't.
Yeah, you have them down south there in the amphibious transports.
Down in here. Ah, yes, and they're the ones I should have actually put onto the.
Oh, no, excuse me. Where did that one go?
That's Marine Raider Special Forces.
Yeah, but that's in a regular transport.
Yeah, I did. I put them on the. I've done it around the wrong way. So.
No, I don't know where that amphibious transport is that you had. Did you just load those up? Oh, that's the one you got delayed, or you forgot to put into transport. It's still back in a Spirito Santo.
I put them into just normal transports, but I put the other one into.
Okay.
This one here was actually the one that went onto the amphibious, whereas I should have done it the other way around. Yeah.
I thought you had, yeah.
Yeah, so no, that's cool. All good.
Yeah.
So I need to get back into supply this turn, and I guess just to sort of show that aspect. If we go back to supply, we have no supply underneath where this one is, but we do actually have some limited supply back in through here. If I move this unit up into there, that means that next turn they will be supplied. I think it'll show it there, or maybe not yet. But so the supply is very, very important in this game. But I think what we might do now is to actually do the giveaway. So we'll close the game down. I hope that was enough. I know we didn't get to play much of the game, but I think we sort of certainly showed a lot around the game. I hope that sort of gets a few of you excited about whether you want to sort of get the game or not. I guess make some decisions now about the depth of the actual game itself. There's a lot. You can see it's very approachable because we're dealing with a handful of units. We're not dealing with mountains and mountains of units as a lot of other war games can be. And I actually much prefer to be playing these sorts of war games than the massive ones. It's for me, it's much more engaging, and at least you can play it as Robert had said earlier. Like in hours or days, rather than weeks or months. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll just close this one down here, and let's close those tabs, and we'll do the giveaway. So just bear with me, guys. I'll just get it all set up. Let's minimize that. So we'll do a marble run giveaway, which I'll just close. Actually, I'll just go back into here and we'll just quit out there properly. I always press the escape key, and I'll just confirm the quit. And quit out of it there. Right. So what we're going to be doing is I'll give the top two we'll do as a giveaway. So if you come first or second, then you'll be in the running for a key. All right. So what we'll do is we'll just go continue. We'll do a Grand Prix, and now I don't have to do it my normal YouTube way. We can now do it the easy way. So I'm just going to pick 3 maps. So it's best of 3. Whoever wins the 3 maps. I'm going to autofill. So as per the usual way. Prophet Joe saying, damn, I always fall out. Well, we haven't started yet. So we're just going to autofill. We're going to be using viewers this time. Autofill in through there. We'll then pick the 3 maps. So we have, yep, so the last one is a fairly long map, but that should all be okay. Let's just go and play it. So what will happen here, and I don't do this very often on Twitch, when we get started, you guys have to type, I think it's !play in the chat to be in the yeah, there we go. Type !play to actually then go into the actual to be part of the actual run. So just start doing that one. There we go. Getting different people now coming in. That's great, guys. We'll play 3. It's a Grand Prix, so we'll actually play the 3 maps. You have to do it for every single map, so you have to sort of be in there. Now this one looks like it's just an actual one on the road there. I'll let it go for a little bit longer before we sort of close it off. So a few more seconds. So type play to be in the running, guys. Okay, it looks like there's nobody else. Oh, here we go. Another one. Compass Rose is in. Key to this game? Yes, it is. Yeah. So half time. Okay, I'll let it go for a little bit longer. Yep. So big, and yes, it is a key for this particular game. Yep. And it'll be for the first and second place in the Grand Prix. Okay, we've still got more coming in. Might need to be all in. No, that's all working. I think. I think I saw the others are actually in there. That Lucky Luke is there. I think that Taito Felinov is already in. I think that you're actually already in there. I don't know if I can zoom in at this stage. Okay, look, let's get going. So we'll start the race. Everyone in. Done. 10 seconds. And we'll just watch what actually happens in through here. Okay, there we go. Began out in front. I'll just go and choose the 3rd place at this point in time. Just have a bit of a look and see what's going on. So we've got Castanar coming through. We've got Droidtika actually out in front there. Pandem is coming in number 2. Castanar 3rd. So they're sort of racing around. I think there's 3 laps on this particular one. So we've got Droid is way out in front now. Heaps out in front there. Supreme Play coming into 2nd place. Frankman now has actually hit the 3rd place. We sort of come back around. They're catching up on Droid. Droid is going to be passed by Supreme Plague right now. Supreme Plague has now taken the lead. Still on the first lap. It's a long race. This particular one. There we go. So we're just watching Frankman at this point in time. Here comes Began in behind. We've got Sir Orange has just taken over from Began. Here comes Frankman. And Supreme Plague still out in front there. The way it works is you get 20 points for first, and then I forget all the other points, but 10th does get 10 points, which I think is the same as 3rd or 4th. Anyway, we'll see what happens. We're now on lap 2. Wow, Began's out in front. No, Supreme Plague. Strider Lask is out in front. So everyone is certainly sort of crashing in there. So that's the rest of the group in behind us. As Frankman is not quite in front. So Strider has really actually gone a long way out in front here. So this is the first race of 3. So you need to get the points from every single race. Some of the runs, some people won't finish. This one, everyone should finish these sorts of races. Coming back through, and just go back up to the front, up through here. So we've got Droid is coming in 2nd place. So this is actually now sort of running down towards the line, and this is now the 3rd. So Droid is out in front slightly, ahead of Strider. Long way out in front, actually, has really now come back into the lead again. This is a long track, this particular track. Let's just go back a little bit further and see some of the others. Half Dime is coming in third. Just hit second place. Moving in on Droid now. So big points if you come in first. Actually, that's the... I thought there was a good run through there, actually, but no. Strider's now hit the lead again. It's anyone's race, this particular one. So got this one through here. We can see on the side there the person like Half Dime is the one that we're actually not controlling. We're just looking at through the through there. Here comes Frankman again. Chaplain for Bacchus coming back in as well. Okay, you want these points, guys. These points are all important. So Stride is coming up. I'll just go back to the second place. Droid is actually now coming in first. And there we go. We've got our winner. Droid, Frankman, Strider, Chaplain for Bacchus, Half Dime, Cause Lord, Supreme Plague. So the others are sort of coming back in through this other side now. And Todufanelov is unfortunately the last place there. But you still get points for everything, so we'll just go final results. Now this is the first one we look at. We don't look at the season. We look at the first one in through here is actually also an ongoing season. It's the Grand Prix that we're interested in. Actually, that's not right, quite right. Actually, where is it? Sorry, the guys. This is actually not. This isn't working the way it should be working. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a prize to whoever comes, because these points aren't making sense the way they normally make sense. But we know that Droid came in first, so I'm going to give you a key, Droid. We're going to do this, and everyone who wins one of these races, I'll give a key away to. So Droid, I'm going to give you one right away. Just bear with me. I'm going to try. I think I can whisper to you, Droid. I'll just see how we go. I think this is the best way to do it. If I click on there, and I'm not sure how I can do the whispers here. To be honest, I hardly ever do this. I might have to do this after we finish. I can ban you. I'm clicking on. I should be able to whisper to you. I'll just see if I can do it this way. Miscellaneous. No, I can't do it easily, actually, unfortunately. So what I'll do is I'll have to come back. We'll play the rest of it. So Droid, you're one of the winners. You can, if you look, yeah. So anyway, you're the one. When if you're in the next race, if you win it, I'll give it to whoever comes in second for the next one. But other than that, it's whoever comes in first. So I'll get back and we'll figure out the best way of getting these out to you. What I might have to get you guys to do is maybe email me, and I can then send out the keys if I can't get the whispers to work. Next map. Okay, so Droid is the first one through. It says Brave Spicy Nowhere. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing. Again, you need to do the exclamation mark play when we get started, so that's one key given away. That should be coming up. Should be loading in. Actually, it's not ready yet, guys. I don't think it is. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so start to click in play now, guys. I'll give you a bit of time to do it. And Droid certainly might as well be part of the fun again. But again, if you win the second key, I'll have to give it to the second place. Hi, Ponicus, how you going? So waiting to start. I'll just let you have a bit of time to play, to type exclamation mark play. Okay, so is everyone in? Get ready to get started. Here we go. We're starting for the next race. This is one that where some people may not finish. 10 seconds. Could be dangerous. No idea. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Here we go. So you're sort of sorting your way through. Come down the bottom here. So we've got Chaplain for Bacchus has hit the early lead. We've got Ponicus in there as well. We've got Stewie. On the other side, Chaplain for Bacchus has gone all the way down. There goes Mark. Mark's been destroyed. Actually, Lucky Luke has now gone miles out in front here. I think it's sort of bypassed some of the map and been able to sort of luckily, instead of actually falling off the map, which is what some of the others will do, has actually made it all the way down, way out in front. of course, it can be fraught with danger. Having trouble getting through this first loop. So lucky Luke get way out in front in through here. Let's just have a bit of a look and see what's happening from the other angles. The others are still sort of all making their way through. I think what happened is you got pushed off the top and ended up having to fall onto the actual map itself. So I think it was an extremely lucky, a lucky save. And we're just coming down now into the gullet of the fish, or the shark. Oh, there goes Ponicus. Farewell, Ponicus. He got pushed off the map. Not too many dying on this particular map. So there goes Lucky Luke. This will be for the actual win. So what a lucky move there. There goes Lucky Luke. Oh, wasn't that lucky? So there must be some dangers in here, I guess. So we're back up to Panda Bum is now the lead person, but has to get through the fish. Fish looks like it's fairly dangerous. Looks like it spits people out if you stay in there for any length of time. Let's just watch it from here. See if we can see what actually happens in through here. If I press number 1. Oh, he made it all the way through and didn't make it. So you're out of it. You're out of it as well. Who else is going to not make it? There's still one more exploding thing there. There goes Strider Ass. There goes Chaplain for Bacchus. Is not going to make it. I think some of them actually missed from in here. Rogue is... Phew, Rogue has got the next key. Congratulations, Rogue. So you've actually got the key there. Well done. Commiserations for those of you that didn't actually make it. But it really is now just whoever's first across the line. So there we go. That's all cool stuff. So I've got a few finishes. Castnar still coming back through. Still got a few at the top there that possibly will now make it now that the exploding points are now done. Here comes Cause Lord. And still got a few more. The map will catch up. There's that sort of yellow thing coming. If you're still on the map when that actually does hit, you don't get to finish, which doesn't really matter. Oh, you missed. I think there's a gap in there. Through that one through there. All right, so Rogue, you are number 2 in there. So so that's and we've got one more. So just go final result. We'll just go to the next map. So Rogue is the second key, and next map is Fairly Abundant Fire. And again, type exclamation mark play to be in this one, guys. And again, if you guys that won it, I'll just bypass you if you do win it. But yeah, feel free to join in. So yeah, Rogue saying awesome game too. Can't wait. Yeah, no, it's a franchise of games that really is done incredibly well. In fact, I was talking with the Historical Gamer, and he rates the which one is it? The American Civil War game as one of his favourite all-time games, which is really cool, actually. Yeah, it's that was some time ago. He told me that, and I always remember because he just loved the immersion that he got from playing that particular game. Anyway, keep on going, guys. Just exclamation mark play to be in the running. I'll leave it for a few more seconds. So we get going. Okay, well, let's get going now. So I'll close it off. In we go. Good luck. I'm not sure how dangerous this map's going to be. Last one was pretty cool, the way it did actually sort things out. So 3, 2, 1. Drop onto this loop, and at this point, going down into here. Looks like we've got some sort of spiral. Yep, there's a spiral that we're actually on. I'll just zoom out of this one. Let's go and follow one of these. Okay, we're going through the loops and through here. The leaderboard on the top right, sorry, won't be accurate. It's John Bod who's out in front of Maladroit, and through this other side, coming around. So we're currently in the lead, but it looks like this is a long map, and there could be a bit of danger ahead by the looks of things. This bit in through here is where people will pop off the map. These explode upwards. So Maladroit is in there now and is through. Okay, so Maladroit through. Some of you won't make it, so let's just watch here. Oh, nearly got pushed off. You don't want to be thrown off here. Looks like everyone's going to make their way through. Stewie's the last one to get... Oh, no, Stewie didn't make it. Yes, he did. He landed back on the map. So you're in there. Now, Maladroit's still out in front. Let's just watch what actually happens in through here. So I don't think there's much more danger. Let's have a look and see. Actually, no one's actually lost a life yet. Resmalinette back out in front now, taking the lead from Maladroit. Panda Bum coming in third. Private Joe coming in fourth. Around this particular loop. Don't know if this is dangerous in here. I'm assuming not. Yeah, Resmalin and Maladroit equal leaders at this point in time. And then hitting the this sort of this chamber. Again, shouldn't fall out from there. Don't think there'll be much falling out from any of these. Who's going to be the first one through? Was that Resmalin? No, not quite. Maladroit is not going to make it just yet. Here comes Gyrox. Here they come. Maladroit, number one. Resmalin is now hit the lead and has made it through. Okay, so these are the two leaders at this point in time. There's usually another dangerous thing at the back end of these maps. See what happens in through here. So Resmalin has now hit the lead ahead of Maladroit. Ponicus coming in third. Coming into this bottom little bit. This is a long map actually. God, this is a massive map. So Resmalin coming down. Maladroit coming in as well. That was an advert. It says T5 Cats. Sorry about that. Okay, Resmalin in the lead. Now, will Maladroit be able to catch up? Will Ponicus be able to catch up? Who knows? Who knows? Doing fairly well. This is actually where it'll stop. Oh, straight through. No, he didn't get through. Maladroit is he's coming through. Ponicus trying to get through as well. And Resmalin nearly made it through. Ponicus is not making it through either. Okay, Maladroit back out. Oh no, Resmalin got a massive thing, but actually gave a boost to Maladroit as well. So Resmalin's the first one through, but has to get through these little areas. Maladroit still going. Ponicus, who's going to make it? Oh, Panda Bum straight through, and just need to get through this little gap to get the win. Panda Bum, number one. Wow, what a comeback. So Panda Bum, you are the third winner. So we've got our three winners, guys. That was good fun. That was great fun. I'll just let the map finish, and then we'll sort of close it off, and yeah, I'll then call this stream to an end. But what I'll do is I'll get you guys to email me. I'll just put my email in the chat. It's just daz@dastactic.com, and so if you can actually just email me, I will then send the key out to you. So those three winners there. So Panda Bum is the third one. Droid was the first one, and then we also then had that was Rogue got the second one. So yep. So that's actually really cool. Someone actually fell off there. Did they? Did someone actually lose? Only one person. Let's just watch. One person didn't finish. Just go to the final results in through here, and so you've got Panda Bum was the first one in through that particular one through there. If we have a look at the, if we finish the Grand Prix, it's going to be a little bit misleading, I think, in through there. So we've got Droid. It should be the winners. Yeah, Panda Bum and Gyrox actually was technically won the points, I guess, but the points I couldn't trust, so we had to change the rules there. So sorry, Gyrox, but it's the others that actually won the races that will be the ones in through there. So we've got the yeah. So these points are way off. I'm not sure how they actually got there. They're different point system that just shouldn't be there. So anyway, so we've got Rogue was one of the winners, Droid and Panda Bum. So guys, I'll leave it there with this one. And look, I do want to thank you, Robert, for spending all this time with us and going through the game. So yeah, it was good fun.
You are more than You're more than welcome. It was fun for me too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. It was really great. Actually, I'm actually really glad that we didn't just play the game as well. Like we really covered a lot of ground, I think. There we go. People are sort of
I hope everybody I know hope everybody, because we kind of geeked out on design, and I hope everybody liked that. I'm looking forward to the feedback.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, it's sort of there we go, going to a deep dive into the manual and then learn to play this. Love the theatre of operations. Yeah, I think it's like showing the extraneous things around the actual game itself. I think really gives you a broader perspective of what's in the game, and I hope that these sorts of videos actually help with that.
I
So
do too, because I enjoy doing this.
yeah, no, it's good, really good fun. Okay, well, look, I'm going to leave it there, guys. So look, thanks for watching, and we'll say goodbye.